all over the rear bumper of Spin, mate. These guys are hit with each other like nothing we've ever seen before.
G pulls out to the outside. Here we go again.
AEST, he's going to go for a move here. The two Ferraris in front of him. Oh, massive contact there.
This is going to be an incredible finish for these two.
The speed, the overspeed happening. They're going to go 3 wide into turn 1.
There's contact there from Tracy with Kung Fu on the way in. He tries to retrace and gets his way.
Shoved out wide. Oh, huge contact.
This is fantastic. On the outside though in turn 1.
As he shots it down the inside anyway. What is this? Oh my gosh! What a move from GTR!
Good afternoon and good evening, Sector 1 sim racing fans from Australia, New Zealand and around the world. We are coming to you live from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta in Georgia, USA. And we are in for some fantastic action tonight. And if anyone remembers what happened last week, the first sprint round here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta in the Group 4 cars for Group A rather, you know that we're on for a fantastic night of racing tonight. So Division 4 and Division 2 coming at you this evening from the racetrack here. And I am joined for Division 4, which will lead us off, by two commentators this evening. So we've actually got a trio in the box today, the first of which our race director. Graham, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, really good. Thanks, Adam. Yeah, looking forward to this, having raced last week here. The sprints are good. You can just really forget about strategy and just send it. It's 20 minutes of intensity.
Driving hard from start to finish. That's what some people are born to do. And our tertiary commentator tonight as well is none other than Adam Brewer. Welcome, Adam.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are we this evening?
Good to be here. It's good to be here. Is this your first time in the box, mate?
Oh, I've done some community stuff occasionally, maybe some fun night stuff, but nah, couldn't race last weekend due to real race duties. So I thought I'd better do the due diligence thing and come and join in this evening.
Authentic motorsport, something that some of us can only dream of, isn't it? All right. So getting into our Division 4 standings for the evening. And here we are with our table as it sits at the end of round 8, moving into round 9 this evening. Of course, Revs Law leads the way for Hooncorp Esports with 273 points to his name, and a dominating season that he has had so far. Although last time around he wasn't able to take victory, I don't believe, if I remember correctly. Am I remembering that right, Graham?
Sorry, was that? I was just keeping on. Yeah, no, he didn't. No, sorry, I was just getting the drivers sorted.
That's right. I think it was it a guy with no skills who took his first victory at the Spa Enduro? I think it was. But our top 3 currently, Revs Law for Hooncorp, VF for Dadson Racing Team, and a guy with no skills currently sitting P3 with a bucket load of points there, but he's closely followed by Benia X, who is also in this fight up the top for Respawn with 234 there. Ice of Renegade, who's been up and down all season. He's been giving as good as he gets to Revs Law, his teammate, up the top, but a couple of inconsistencies have caused him to be down in P5. Debrev, P6, Keza Johnson in P7. Laminator, who is unfortunately absent tonight, in P8. Dazza, P9. Snake Eyes in P10, and Malevolent One in P11. Womble P12 for Red Mist, the team owner. Petey Pops P13, and Good Doctor, who I believe is also absent tonight. So a couple of notable absences tonight, Grant.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a few there, I think, really looking for a bit of redemption. They've had some unlucky runs. Tonight, definitely Petey Pops, and he did well in a few of the practice lobby races. And also Dubrev in the McLaren, really quick in practice and right up there with the Hooncorp Nissans.
That McLaren's pretty mighty in the Group 4 trim. So last week we saw the Group A guys take this on, and a couple of different cars up and about to the top end. The Alphas in particular were very strong here based on the tyre wear that the guys are experiencing. So if you were about last week, you'll know that a lot of the guys were running the tyres to the very, very end of their life. So the cars that are less harsh on the tyres can have a bit of an advantage towards the later stages of the race, because stopping for new tyres is not the optimal strategy, I hear.
Yeah, there's just not enough time left in the race itself to run a pit stop. But that Alpha off the start too is an absolute rocket ship.
Comes with that mid-engine rear-wheel drive layout that we see so often, and the Ferraris will have that sort of action about them as well, with great starts off the line. We've seen that in the GT3 car many a time. So here's a reminder as well, if you are not entirely familiar with the Road Atlanta racecourse, 4 kilometers, 12 turns in total. Well, it's up for debate depending on which corners you count. Tyres softs only tonight for the sprint round, and these guys will be running them from start to finish. You can just about guarantee it. And Division 4, late morning sunshine all way through, so no chances of rain today, or not by our forecast in any case. And later on in the afternoon, we'll get the Division 2 guys going as well. 2 20-minute sprint races for these guys here tonight for both Division 4 and Division 2. A lot of action for you guys to check out. Of course, the first race sets the grid for the second after a qualifying session that we will begin with very shortly, I imagine.
Yep, just sent a message to the guys now, so we'll get quali underway.
So 11 cars will take to the grid here at Road Atlanta for the sprint round of Division 4. Your championship leader at the moment, Revs Law, of course, will be one to watch for sure. But I think there's going to be a couple of guys that are going to be breathing down his neck a little bit with this one. That Mercedes VF as well could be a big challenger here. I hear that it's not too bad on its tyres either. So it might be a bit stronger than that Nissan out the front. Nissan's, of course, being driven by the Hooncorp drivers. Move over
the guys
to
are away.
The qualifying system now. We are off and running. Here we go. So we'll have a look first of all at Revs Law, our championship leader for Hooncorp Esports, on his way around the track for the first time of asking. Now, it's important to note as well, if you're not familiar with this particular track, there are white lines on the edge of the circuit there. You can see those are the track limits. You cannot put 4 tyres over the white lines, otherwise you will be given a penalty. But you may notice on the inside of the curbs there, that white line becomes yellow, and if you go 4 wheels over the yellow line, you will not get a penalty. So you've got to be clever with your track limits around here, learn the track, and these guys have spent a lot of time nailing it down and figuring out what they can do here at Road Atlanta. So there's Revs Law, our championship leader for Hooncorp Esports. We'll have a look at Petey Pops in the Alfa Romeo 4C. Doghouse Motorsport, of course. The Doghouse car's been a little bit stronger around here than it has been over the course of the season, owing to that Alpha being so nice on its tyres and not wearing them out nearly as fast as the cars around it, but lacking the raw pace as on display here as Pinia X takes it the position P2 up the inside on the way to the line to start their first flying lap. So Pinia X also in the title contention at the top. Bit of contact in the turn 1 there. That might be reviewed at a later date, I think. We'll have a look at Kes Johnson in the Toyota GT86 while these guys sort themselves out. That's the Boxer Beauty car for Brocky 05 Sim Racing. The 86 as well, fairly nice on its tyres, so the great race does come back to it a little bit towards the end, but it's not too great on its raw pace alone. Apparently the Supra and the Silvia tend to be the faster cars around this particular track. Snake Eyes, still in the early stages of his career here at Sector 1 for ISA Esports in the Porsche. Looking like he's warming up his tyres there, so he may have written off this lap at some point. Renegade for Huncorp Esports, the second of the Huncorp Sylvias, of course, on his first flying lap here, heading around onto the back straight. The guy with no skills, carrying a penalty at the moment. The Black Rose Sylvia will just head around this lap to finish it off and then get onto his faster laps as the qualifying session goes on. He had a fantastic performance last time out at Spa. Gazza Sturley in the Supra for Kraken Esports, the Big Rocks car. Going to set his first flying lap time, Malevolent one. Rebs Law sets his first lap time, we'll come to that in a moment, but that is the benchmark at 25.4. Deeds car in Malevolent one, the 86 in P9, DeBrev in the McLaren for CP Motorsports P10, and Womble carrying a penalty at the moment for Red Mist Racing, so this won't be his first representative lap time. Rebs Law is 1.6 seconds clear provisionally at the top of the standings for Huncorp, although that's been cut in half now by DeBrev to 0.6 of a second. 6/10 only now separating first and second, so DeBrev provisionally puts himself P2 after a good qualifying at Spa as well last time around, if I remember correctly. Although not quite as good of a race performance.
Yeah, and you'll see some of these tyres come in on laps 3 and 4, and I expect the times to get a lot closer. In practice, maybe 7/10 across the top half of the grid. I'm sure they weren't showing all their tricks, but it was very close.
Seen Rebs Law's always got something up his sleeve, but he appears to have the pace and he can lay down the gauntlet here this time around. Keza Johnson currently sitting provisionally P3 and on another lap here. I think I saw a personal best sector just before. Yep, he's 6/10 faster, which will not be enough to unseat DeBrev at this stage. Let's see if he can find any time through the chicane at the end of the lap here. Go into the sweeping right-hander and across the line, set his new fastest time of a 26.3. Not enough to improve him. Snake Eyes, on the other hand, does go higher. Gets almost within half a second of Rebs Law in that Porsche. Renegade currently sitting down in P7. DeBrev goes provisional pole with a 25.3, just over a 10th clear of the championship leader. DeBrev flexing his qualifying skills once again here in the CP Motorsports McLaren. Snake Eyes in the ISA Esports Porsche. He's got something to say about it all, and he is purple through the first sector now on his fourth lap, his third flying lap here. He's purple on the fastest lap time of a 25.36 by just over 2/10. Can he unseat DeBrev, and can he keep Rebs Law at bay? Let's keep on board here now with the ISA Esports driver in the Porsche. Have a look at that cluster. You see it approaching 180 kilometers an hour. He'll probably peak over 200 before he gets to the chicane at the end. There it is, over the 200k an hour mark. Will he pick up a tow as well from the Brocchio 5 sim racing car in front of him? He's 0.3 up. He is nearly 4/10 purple on DeBrev's McLaren time around here. Let's see how he takes this chicane. Bit of a cut to the inside, cut to the right, and accelerate out all the way to the outside using that curb as much as you can. You got that yellow line on the inside there, and approaching the finish line now. He's getting closer and closer to the Brocchio 5 sim racing car. What time does he set? He's purple by only 1.18, so he lost quite a lot of time in that last chicane. So, more time to be found by Snake Eyes perhaps, or is it that the McLaren of DeBrev, who has also just set a faster time, is just so quick through that final sector? Trying it and see, that might have been a slipstream as well for the McLaren there from the Deeds car.
Yeah, he's still got plenty of tyres to do it.
It's not becoming an issue at this stage. Womble goes to P3.
P3.
Great provisional position to be in for him, but he's going to have to find a little bit more time. He wants to stay on that second row, I'd imagine. I'm sure Rebs Law has not given it everything he's got just yet. Now, you tell me that Womble was having some hardware issues tonight, Graham.
Yeah, he was. Throughout the practice lobby, he was trying to reset the wheel. So I'm not sure if he's actually on the DS5 or he's actually back on the wheel.
Well, if he's on a DS5, he's laying it down and proving that you can do it in anything. But there goes Rebs Law to the top. He clears the top by nearly half a second this time. There's the time that we were all waiting for. So 24.6 now the benchmark. Snake Eyes crosses the line. No improvement. Not coming into box this time around either. We've got about 2.5 minutes left.
So we've got Renegade in the pits, Malevolent one in the pits.
Hey. Just having a look down the bottom. It looks like a guy with no skills is having some trouble here getting away from the penalties. But this lap will not count for him, or might count for him as personal best, but it probably won't be enough to go up a position. Looks like he's struggling to get through a lap without picking up a infringement at any point in the circuit. It is easy to do. A lot of these corners, the runoff is a little bit tricky to deal with. And that's what we were talking about before. These guys have to learn every inch of this track, where the track limits are, how much they can push them. Now that time would be representative that he just set with a 27.4, but don't forget that he did serve a penalty on that lap. So he's certainly got more time to find. Be one to watch. The front runners now. Snake Eyes with a slipstream down into the chicane. Coming through for his 5th flying lap. Let's see what he can do. A little bit of a tow from the Brocchio 5 car. Revslaw comes into the pits. Will he have enough time to go around again? No improvement for the ISA Esports car. What about Debrev now? He's coming around. Also no improvement. Womble. Not too far behind Renegade by the looks. Let's jump on board. Through the chicane. I don't imagine he'll pit this lap because he probably doesn't have enough time to come around again. Here we go, to the line. 25.3 to beat. Needs 2 tenths to go up a position. Not going to be enough. He's 2 tenths the wrong way. He'll get 2 more shots potentially. 1 more. I think this will be his last lap. Revslaw has retired in the pit lane. He's put that time down and said, that's enough for me, thank you very much. I'll take that pole position. A guy with no skills finally sets a representative lap time, puts himself into P4 onto the 2nd row. Can he find some more time? He needs 0.03 of a second to supersede Debrev at P3, who's currently on a lap. Snake Eyes approaching the chicane for the final time. Here we go in the Porsche. Looking pretty relaxed here. I don't know if he's on a great time, but we'll see what he does on the way out. To the line now in the Porsche for ISA Esports. Can he unseat the pole sitter? It's not going to be enough. It's not going to be an improvement. Debrev to the line. No improvement there either. A guy with no skills seems to have aborted his lap.
Yeah, Poppers could jump a spot or 2 here. He's on a personal best.
Here he needs 2 tenths to go up 1. Up to P5 in the Alfa Romeo 4C. Now that is important because that car is very strong in the late stages of this race, as we know. Let's have a look at the guy with no skills. I think he's off pace here. I don't think this is going to be a representative lap, but we'll jump on board just in case. Interesting from Revslaw to park the car with a couple of minutes to go. Not worry about it whatsoever. Very safe in his provisional pole. Benia will come across the line. This probably won't be an improvement from him. Will it? Or will it just? 25? Only just. He's still P10. Disappointing for one of the championship protagonists, or at the very least, a podium protagonist.
Actually, it's still showing Revs on his final lap. Oh, it's an out lap.
It's just an out lap. So he's just come out of the pits to do 1 more lap of practice, get himself a bit of extra time on the track here. I'm sure the timer will expire before he gets around to it. Oh well. A very interesting timing ladder here. Not something that we're used to seeing whatsoever. So these guys, they've gone through their qualifying session and the leaderboard has been all jumbled up. We've got Benny X down the bottom there somewhere. Rebs, of course, at the top as per. And Renegade sitting in the middle of the field after being a challenger for the win several times over. So let's have a look here. We'll get your results on the screen. Revslaw takes pole position with a 24.688. A fantastic qualifying time from the Hooncorp driver in the Sylvia. Snake Eyes with a P2 comes to the front row with Revslaw there for ISA Esports up top. Rev in the 650S shows once again his qualifying prowess, and his 1 lap pace is excellent amongst the Div 4 drivers. CP Motorsports in P3, a guy with no skills in P4 for Black Rose. Another solid qualifying session for a guy with no skills. He's consistently around that P4, P5 every time. The 4C of PD Pops, the Doghouse car in P5, which is a great qualifying position to be for him. That's top half, and that's what he'll need going into this race. He's just going to be careful not to get jumped at the start, but I'm pretty sure that Supra behind him is not going to be able to out-launch him. Womble in P6 there after being demoted from P4, I think it was, or P3, early stages of the qualifying session. Malevolent One in P7, Keza in P8, Renegade in P9 for Hooncorp, and Benia P10, Dazza P11 for Breakin Esports. What are your thoughts on the qualifying session, Graham?
Yeah, some actually very competitive times there when you compare to Div 3 last week. And I think, that Alpha's very well placed, but also Malevolent One and Keza in P7, P8. The 86ers jump off the line quite good. So not so much turn 1, but turn 2 and 3. There's multiple lines into those corners, and also people are running different entry speeds using different gears, 3rd and 4th. So that's the 2 turns to watch.
It's going to be a hectic first lap, I think. Much like last week, we saw it many times. 2x2 into turn 1, 2 and 3 here in the Group 4 cars. So we'll see what comes of it this time around. But I'm very excited to kick this thing off.
All right, I'll get it started.
Okay, so let's move back just quickly to show you guys our standings, remind you of what we are dealing with these guys on the standing sort of things. Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. So Revslaw up the top. Jump straight to the track now, I think. Okay, Division 4. Lights are on. We are ready to go racing here. Revslaw will lead the way from pole position. Off they go. The Porsche, how's your start? The Alphas jump the McLaren back there and the Sylvia. PD Pops up to P3 here. The Sylvia's going to lead into turn 1. That Porsche's going to challenge around the outside. The Alpha's going to hold P3, I think, through here. What a fantastic start for PD Pops, although around the outside goes a guy with no skills through turn 1. That's a fantastic move to attack back at that Alpha, which challenged so fiercely off the line there. So Snake Eyes settles into P2 behind Revslaw, and this is very Max Verstappen in Formula 1-esque here. We're looking at Revslaw, who most would expect to drive away with this victory now that he is unchallenged into the second half of the first lap. Snake Eyes not far behind, but with the guy with no skills breathing down his neck with a half-second penalty though. So the woes of invoices continue for a guy with no skills. He still cannot shake the corner cutting that he's got going on, and PD Pops as well. So that's a huge moment for the Alfa Romeo driver of Doghouse. So these two guys will serve their half-second penalties here on the back straight, and Debrev will profit massively along with Womble here as they head past into the penalty serving zone.
And Renegade.
Renegade as well back there with a penalty also. Down the inside goes the Deeds car. Look at that on PD Pops. That's absolutely insane from Malevolent One. A huge send into the chicane, but a fantastic job. Pulled it up perfectly into that corner. That was a fantastic move there. Revslaw leads across the line for the first time.
Renegade and Benia come together, coming across the start line, start-finish.
We've got these guys at the back, and it looks like Renegade's having a bit of an issue with latency as well, which is going to make him very difficult to race for these guys. Keza Johnson just in front appears to have got away from it, but Benia getting the worst of it in P11 here.
Yeah, and Renegade picked up penalty for that. Keza jumped the start. That's why he dropped back to 11th on the first lap.
Right. Okay, so still within slipstream range here is Snake Eyes on Rev's Law, but Rev's Law just eking out that gap so far out the front there, and that toe might be what's keeping Snake Eyes just out of reach of a guy with no skills behind him. Look now at a guy with no skills. He's well clear of Debrev now. Debrev back in P4 in the CP Motorsports McLaren, who may come under threat from Malevolent One at some point soon. We saw that very aggressive send on Petey Pops into the chicane here last time around. Let's jump on board with the Alfa Romeo, see what he's looking at on board here. Oh, that looked like contact. Womble's gone through. We've missed what's happened there, but there's been a huge incident into the chicane there. Looked like contact between possibly 3 cars. And Petey Pops finds himself down in P8, superseded by Benia here as well, and it looks like Renegade might get through on him also. That's a disaster into the chicane there for Petey Pops. He was having such a good race. So he's going to have to be... he's going to have to hope that those tyres really come back to him soon, because that's his race turned upside down, very much so. We're going to go jump on board with Womble here. Have a look at that replay there. Here we go, into the braking zone of the chicane. Let's have a look on board with Womble. See if there was any contact with him from behind as well. It looks like it was just late on the brakes there from Womble, missed the braking marker, and into the side of 2 cars in front of him. Unfortunate, one of those things that happens. He rejoins correctly, gets back on the track safely in P11. An unfortunate incident to take place here.
Yep, 6/10 between the top 3.
Oh, wow. Oh, there's contact with a guy with no skills and Snake Eyes as well. A little bit of latency causing that, and that might have dropped them a little bit further behind Rev's Law. It has. There's now a second separating them. A guy with no skills might go up the inside here. Jump on board with Debrev. Here we go. Front row seat to the action.
Snake Eyes has got that Porsche on rails.
He's making it as wide as he possibly can here, keeping that position from a guy with no skills. That's just allowed Rev's Law to skip away, which is not what you want from him.
And bringing Debrev into it.
Yes, we're on board with Debrev here, and we've got front row seats to what's going on here, and he's right in the thick of the action now. Well within slipstream range of a guy with no skills. Inside, not quite on there for him. A guy with no skills thinking about it. Into the right-hander back there. Let's see, we'll jump on board with a guy with no skills. See how close he gets down into the chicane. Coming down the back straight. There's your penalty serving zone. No 1 serving a penalty this time around. He's not going to be close enough. Is the Black Rose driver. In fact, Debrev is getting very close to him there, and that's a little bit deep into the chicane as well. Let's see what the CP Motorsports car can do in response.
And great drive out of the corner.
That Silvia's got really good acceleration, but he's compromised his line on the way in there as a guy with no skills, and that's allowed Debrev a sniff here, but playing the long game is the CP Motorsports driver. Head through the first sector once again. Look back here. Dazza all on his own. Keza with Benia behind. Petey Pop's now P8 after that earlier incident, and Renegade not far behind him as well. Renegade is really struggling with that latency issue that we've got on screen there. Not out of this yet though. Malevolent One and Womble just down the back there with their own little race going on as well. P10. At 86 though, those tyres might come back to it a little bit later on in the race, we'll see. Look at Renegade now on Petey Pops, looking to the outside. That Alpha's not going to have a response in the straight line here. I don't think Sylvia will go through the way down to the chicane. That's going to make life very difficult for Petey Pops with that latency and pinging from side to side for Renegade. It's going to be very hard to re-overtake later on in this race, as the tyres will come back to the Alfa Romeo. But look, he's going to try it already up the inside on the way to the start-finish straight. That Alfa taking no prisoners here. Renegade might try it again though into turn 1. But these guys have really got to think of the long game here. They've got a long way to go here, and they're fighting for this position down in P8 when they could be working together to try get further up the road. Looks like Petey Pops has got it locked down though. He does appear to be the faster of the two cars as well. Looking ahead now, Benia on Keza. Jump on board with the super driver for Respawn Esports. Trailing the Brocchio 5 Sim Racing Boxer Beauty GT86 or BRZ, depending on which way you want to look at it. Down the back straight here, I think the Supra will have the legs on that 86. Will he have to go outside for the chicane? I think he might. No. Keza's going to let him have the inside, and I think actually a bit of a caveat about Keza this round, as well as Benia hips it down the inside on the way into the chicane. He's gone a little bit deep though, he's into the sand! He's lost it off the end of the circuit. And Keza's going to retake the position, and Petey Pops takes advantage as well. Now, this is important for Benia not to get overtaken by Renegade behind him, because that latency is going to be a huge issue if he lets him have it. But a little bit of a bump draft on the main straight there lets him keep that position. Now head through into the first sector once again. So as I was saying before this all kicked off, it's still kicking off. This is unbelievable. I don't know where Malevolent One came from, but suddenly he's challenging Benia X into the second corner there. Will he go down the inside into this one? No, not able to. They all get back line astern. Womble there challenging the Homecorp driver of Renegade in behind as well. Let's jump on board now with the Red Mist Racing team owner. And they're all going at it. Look at this. This is unbelievable. Into the double right-hander at the back of the circuit. Benia getting all sorts of sideways on the way out, and there's contact between Renegade and Malevolent One, and I think that might have been latency induced, but that sends Malevolent One sideways, and it looked like a bit of a redress there from Renegade as well. So good to see sportsmanship on display, but that has just put these guys further off the back of Petey Pops up ahead.
And we've had a change at the front. Guy with no skills picked up a penalty, and Debrev got through. And he's now closing on Snake Eyes. Yep.
Podium position for the McLaren driver at CP Motorsports. I think, I get the feeling a guy with no skills is not done here though. If he can keep his nose clean and avoid the penalties, I get the feeling he's got the pace for P2 here. I think Snake Eyes might have his hands full, but it also depends on the tyre wear of that Porsche as well.
Yep. Is it time for an update?
I think it might be, and I was really hoping that we would have our APR tyre and fuel update able to be presented by Adam Prue himself, but he appears to have had some issues, technical difficulties on the way through. But we will begin our tyre and fuel update in any case.
No worries. Well, I'll leave the fuel out because it doesn't really matter in this place. But with Rebs, he's just over half on the front left. Rest of the tyres are in pretty good shape. Snake Eyes a little bit less on that front left, and he's about half on the left rear as well. Debrev, very similar to Revs, just over half at the front and 2/3 at the back on the left. Right-hand side tyres are good, as Guy with no skills comes up behind him. Guy with no skills now, he's a guy that's really pushed the car hard. He's got probably 15% left on the right front, and on lap 8 that's going to cause some pain. The rest of the tyres are outstanding. Just that, left front, it's hurting. Dazza down to about 1/3 on the left front, half on the left rear. Right side's good. Kaz's over half on the left front, 2/3 left rear. He's looking after his tyres really well. Popper's best tyres so far, as we expect from the Alpha. The Bob Jane all-rounders are working well. Benier, he's down to a third left front, third left rear. Womble's about the same. Malevolent One, he's down to about 20% left front, so that's going to hurt in a lap or so. Halfway left rear. And Renegade, a bit over half left front, and the rest of his tyres are in really good nick.
So we've got a couple of drivers whose tyres are going to fall off a cliff in the near future. Namely a guy with no skills, and I think it was Wumble, was it? Or Benier?
Benier. And actually Womble, just with that extra half a lap, it's dropping as well. Malevolent One's the other one. He's probably got
not
a...
too great either, okay.
No.
That
And he just served a penalty and Renegade just got through.
concludes our APR automotive tyre and fuel update. So just tyres this time around. Of course, fuel is good to the end for these cars, but tyre wear is going to be a massive concern for these drivers, as being displayed by a guy with no skills who's dropped down to P5 actually.
And check that fastest lap out.
Petey Pops has the fastest lap, set
And
on lap 9.
And he's looking for P6. He's right behind Keza, putting pressure on.
Let's have a look on board here with the Alfa Romeo driver. Now this is the part where the doghouse entries are going to shine. Look at the wear causing understeer on the 86 in front, forced off out wide off the circuit, and that might also come with an invoice there on exit as well. That Boxer is having a real hard time with its front tyres. It's understeering everywhere. So this is Petey Pop's chance. Where does he challenge? Does he go for it on the back straight? He must do. The trouble is the Alphas they don't have the strongest straight line speed, so he's going to have a real hard time overtaking even on a car that is has significantly more tyre wear, as is displayed here. As you can see, the Alpha's not close enough to launch and move into the chicane, or is it? He thinks about it for a second there. Can't quite make it stick. He's staying close to that Boxer of the Brocchio 5 sim racing team.
And they're starting to get the two in front. They're starting to drag them in as well.
So guy with no skills also struggling for tyre wear, as we know. Probably understeering very wide at a lot of these corners. Some of these cars will be forced to lift through the S's in the middle of the circuit. There you go, wide of the apex there for Keza. Let's have a look here and see what Petey Pops can do. Will Keza go wide once again here onto the grass? Not quite, but really forcing a lot of lateral load through those tyres. Ideally here, I think Petey Pops has to hope for a penalty for the drivers in front of him to allow him pass nice and easy.
Yeah, and Reb's out the front. He's got that buffer of 4.5 seconds, and it's just allowing him to turn in a little bit easier, and his tyres are actually holding up. He'll go very close to the 14 laps without ruining that front left.
The ultimate raw pace, and the gentleman with the tyres. That is top shelf driving from Rev's Law in that Sylvia. You know, a lot of these guys will be, approaching the entirely red tyre on this lap around this sort of time. And here's Rev's Law, plenty of life left in them. That's fantastic. Look at this, a guy with no skills has been caught by Keza and by association Petey Pops as well. Keza looks to the inside, turn 1 here, down the inside goes the 86, and Petey Pops is not going to follow him through. Although they're going to go side by side on the way up to turn 2. A guy with no skills retakes the position. A great switch back there through turn number 1.
Especially considering he's got alloy sparks on his front left.
He's actually dropped Keza quite a bit through there. So Petey Pops is really going to have to get a move on if he wants to take advantage of these tyres that he's got on his car. He's got to get something done here. He's got to launch something somewhere. Invent a move on that 86, which now has the benefit of a slipstream from a Sylvia in front of it, which is going to pose problems for the Alpha driver. Quick look on board with a guy with no skills into turn 1. So here's how it happened. Down the inside goes Keza. Quick switchback, a little bit of contact on the way through, but nothing wrong with a bit of door handle bashing. And back goes a guy with no skills through into P5. Never in doubt. Keza still right on the back of him. Oh, Keza's gone sideways down the exit of the chicane. Gets a little bit trigger happy with the throttle and drops it into the right-hand side wall. Unbelievable, and from such a good position. Look at Petey Pops now, right on the back of a guy with no skills who has no chance as they head through turn 1. Petey Pop's going to launch one down the inside. No, he's too polite for that, but he'll stay very close here, you can guarantee, to the Nissan Silvia. Through the S's they go. He's right on the rear bumper of a guy with no skills here. And Dazza Sturley is not too far up the road. That Alpha, though, it has to get a move on. There's only so much time left. 2 minutes. There might only be 1 or 2 more laps here for Petey Pops to make something happen. Oh, and there's an incident at the back there as well. We've lost Benia to Renegade somehow. Jump on board here with the Respawn Esports driver. He just dropped it on those raw left-hand side tyres, as you can see on the screen there. Under brakes, lost the rear end, and went sideways through the corner.
Well, coming into the last lap, you throw a blanket over third, fourth, fifth and sixth, and Poppers has just moved up, and he might get both here.
Have a look, he's between a rock and a hard place. Dazza in front and a guy with no skills behind, and neither of them got any tyre left. Look at that! Dazza's dropped it into the outside. He's been helped off a little bit by a guy with no skills, but he was already going sideways. It wasn't going well for him at all. And Petey Pops goes through into P4. A guy with no skills is somehow holding on to P5. He did end up helping off Dazza a little bit just then, but it's hard to say who's at fault for that one, because both cars, I can imagine, are on extremely raw tyres with no grip left whatsoever. But the upshot, Petey Pops up to P4 in the Alpha.
Yeah, well, Dazza's red front and rear left. He's having a terrible time at the moment. And yeah, Renegade, guy with no skills, he's red left front. Yeah.
Here's how Petey Pops got by a guy with no skills. It was exit of the chicane, looks to the inside, a guy with no skills tries to cover but can't quite do it. And then Petey Pops manages to slot in between the pair of them as they head to turn number 1.
Yep, revs his cross.
There we go.
Oops.
We missed our winner finishing. Revs Lord took the win from Snake Eyes to Brev. Petey Pops across the line in P4. A guy with no skills P5. Renegade P6. Benia X after dropping it late in the piece P7. Malevolent 1 P8. Womble P9. Keza will cross the line in P10. And Dazza, unfortunately, after his tyres clipped, just wasn't able to get a hold of the vehicle and dropped to P11. What a race it was. Action-packed from start to finish, as we expect from these guys here. So we'll have a quick look at our results once we get them up on the screen. Revs Law takes victory, but not the fastest lap, surprisingly for him, in the Hooncorp Silvia. And a 25.1 his fastest lap, just shy of Petey Pops, who managed to claim P4 in the late stages of that race. He was a long way behind Debrev there, unfortunately wasn't able to make a challenge of it, but perhaps if he'd been able to handle the traffic a little bit better, he might have been able to challenge for a podium spot. So, Snake Eyes with a P2 finish there for ISA Esports in the Cayman, and 650S of Debrev in P3 there, making good on his qualification in the qualifying session earlier on. That one lap pace coming in handy here in the sprint race. A guy with no skills in P5 after those tyres cliffed off at the end. Wasn't able to hold on from Petey Pops. Renegade in P6 there in the Sylvia for Hooncorp as well. The second of the Hooncorp drivers. Benia in P7 in the Respawn Supra, and Malevolent one in the 86 there. Womble in P9 after a earlier incident and having a little bit of a struggle with tyres towards the late stages of the race. Kids are in P10 and Dazza in P11. So that's how our result for race 1 shakes up, and our grid will be set based on this for the second of the sprints for Division 4. But yeah, slightly unexpected from a couple of these drivers. We knew that the 4C would be strong on its tyres, but I think Petey Pops has surprised us all here.
Yeah, he's showing the form that he carried into the season. He's had a fair bit of bad luck, but the guys that even more than half the field were pretty much down to nothing on that left side of the car, especially at the front. But there are a few there that just, adapted the turn in a little to prevent that understeer or minimise it, and they're the guys that sort of came through. They benefited from other mistakes.
Right. And he ran a clean race, did Petey Pops. He did everything he could. And don't forget, take note of your drivers of the day, because we will be nominating them after the second race of Division 4 this evening. But we'll go to a quick intermission now. We're not going to use the full intermission that we've got, the 5 minutes. We'll just go for a couple of minutes, and we'll be back soon once all of our admin is taken care of. So we'll see you guys in just a moment. Welcome back, everyone. we are back at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for the second of 2 sprint races for Division 4 this evening. We are not far away from kicking off the second race. The first race was action-packed from start to finish. We're going to have a look now to remind you of what our starting grid will look like for race 2. So here is how the race 1 ended. So we had Revs Law finishing P1, so he will take pole position for the second race here. Snake Eyes in P2 locks out that front row with the Cayman for ISA Esports. Debrev in P3 will be the first car on the second row. Petty Pops, who I imagine, based on the first race, will get a nice jump on that 650S and probably slot himself in P3 before turn 1. Guy with no skills in the Sylvia in P5. So he starts a little bit further down than he did for the first race. Renegade in P6, making his way up the field a little bit. Benia, much the same in P7 there. And Malevolent One at the back of the fourth row. In P8 there. P6, Womble and Keza will be on the fifth row. And Dazza, the P11 and last, starting off this one. So your pole sitter, Revs Law, let's see what he can do. See if he runs away with this one once again in Max Verstappen fashion. But I think we are ready to get this going.
Yep, I'll get the guys underway.
Okay, get your predictions in. Who do you think's going to have the fastest lap victory and all that sort of thing? Best overtake, best move. What's going to happen in this race? I'm excited. Get excited. Let's get amongst it. We are going to the track right about now.
Yeah, we've got those 2 Sylvias in 5th and 6th, so I think they want a bit of redemption this race.
Here we go to your sprint grid. The lights are up and ready to go. Your pole sitter, Revs Law, revs up the car. The Porsche in second, and look for that Alpha in fourth. Will it get the jump on the McLaren? They're off and racing, and poor start from the McLaren as well. That Alpha is off and running. Will he challenge the Sylvia even into turn 1? He's very close here, but on the outside is Snake Eyes. He's going to swoop around Revs Law into turn 1 and take the lead here in the second of the sprint races. There's action all the way up and down as well. It looks like a bit of consternation in the mid-pack there at the back, but the upshot and biggest takeaway from that start is your new leader is Snake Eyes, leading the way here in Division 4, possibly for the first time in his Sector 1 career, ahead of Revs Law, who has been such a dominant driver here in Division 4. So he's going to have a hard ask on his hands, and I get the feeling, based on that first race, that as the race goes on, that ISA Esports car might gain more of an advantage as we go on. But down the inside goes Revs Law. He's not taking any prisoners here. He's not waiting around for this to happen to him. He's going to make it happen for himself. He takes Destiny, seizes it by the hand, and takes P1 onto the back straight and drives away into the distance. He's now 4.5 tenths clear of Snake Eyes, and it looks like he's pulling away as they head down the straight. So I think that might be all said and done into the chicane, but Snake Eyes is going to have to find a way to fight back in lap 2. Petey Pop's still in P3. A guy with no skills, very close there, goes deep into the chicane, and that's going to compromise him ahead of Debrev, who in the McLaren could get a great drive out of here. And there's also the Sylvia of Renegade close behind them. So these guys right up on top of each other. Renegade's going to get amongst it a little bit here, I think, as well. Let's jump on board with the Hooncorp driver and see what he has to say into turn 1. There goes the McLaren to the apex, and it looks like a guy with no skills has gone off. It wasn't clear if there was contact or not, but a guy with no skills has found himself dropped back to P11. That's a disaster for
Yeah, I
the
think he
Black
just
Rose
hit that
car.
curb. Yeah, I think he hit the curb.
Oh man, what a way to ruin your race. The second, also the most important of the sprint races. Petey Pop's now looking like to be in a really good spot here, actually. He's not too far off Snake Eyes in P1, and Revs Law is really running away with this one once again. He's now a second to the good over the ISA Esports driver in P2. Absolutely dominating this field. Debrev not quite under pressure from Renegade, but Renegade is not letting him out of his sight just yet. Let's have a look on board now with Debrev at the start of the race. Let's have a look here. The Alpha got away. And into turn 1 we go. Around the outside goes the Black Rose car. and into the side of Petey Pops there, but nothing too concerning about that there. And they go 2x2 into turn 2 there as well, and they manage to get it all sorted out. A little bit of bumping and grinding on the way through, but honestly, that's racing. A little bit of door handle bashing. Nothing wrong with it. Happy to see it. So, Debrev, P4, Renegade, P5, not looking to take this line down. Benier has also made his way up to P6 here, following Renegade through. Just ahead now of Malevolent One in the 86. And Dazza Sturley in P8, who had a disastrous end to the last race, and I think that might come with an invoice there as well. He's gone very wide on the exit there. See if it does. No, he appears to have gotten away with it. But he'll be looking to redeem himself throughout this race. Womble not off to a bad start as well. The Red Mist Racing team owner sitting in P9 at the moment, just ahead of Keza, so he is up a bit. He's rather where he started, P9, but still within touching distance of the battle pack ahead. Meanwhile, out the front, Rev's Law has cracked his lead out to nearly 2.5 seconds. Looks like he was almost just taking it easy in the first race. There's a 24.6, which I believe is faster than the fastest lap that was set by Petey Pops in race number 1. So
Yeah,
Rev's Law here now laying down the gauntlet, very much so.
Yeah, I think that was pretty equal to his qualifying time for race 1.
Oh, wow. 24.7. Not bad whatsoever. Sending a message to these guys. I am not to be messed with. Snake Eyes. I'm not happy about that overtake you made on me in the early stages. Here's what I think of that. Now 2 seconds clear. Petey Pops hanging tough. In a good spot in P3 here. The Brev not far behind in that McLaren. Very good on the straight. Could be interesting to see how it deals with the Alpha ahead, but he is quite far behind.
Yeah, Renegade's closed that gap up to Debrev, less than half a second.
On board with Renegade now on the way down to the chicane. Let's see what the Sylvia can do in a straight line. It's closing up to that McLaren there, but not able to do enough, unfortunately. Let's have to settle and go through the motions of that corner, head out onto the main straight. That acceleration of the Sylvia, fantastic on the way out of the chicane there. He's very close to the McLaren in front of him, but that latency, again, proving to be a problem. Let's see what Renegade can do. Will he throw it up the inside? He thinks better of it. Holds back for turn 1. Brev lives to fight another day.
Yeah, a similar battle between Benny and Malevolent, 1.2 of a second, coming onto the main straight. Oh, and I've put the curse on him. Malevolent one's just gone wide.
Commentator's curse strikes again.
Yeah.
The 86 goes off into the grass right after being mentioned directly by Graham.
Yeah, and that's brought Dazza right into it.
It completely changed the dynamic of this race here. But this Supra is probably going to have a go into the right-hander here, I can imagine. No? Playing the long game by the looks of things. Up to the back straight now.
He's got good drive out of there.
Now this battle pack's looking quite interesting. We've got Renegade chasing Debrev, chasing Petey Pops. Petey Pops is trying to stay in touch with Snake Eyes, but that Porsche is just staying out of slipstream reach. But I think Petey Pops is going to have to start looking in his rear view mirrors more than his windshield as we come on to lap 6.
Yeah,
Because
and Snake Eyes has pulled nearly a second back on Revs. So is that Revs looking after tyres or Snake Eyes going?
yeah, might have been a case of Revs going, I'll get the fastest lap and then I'll settle into my race rhythm. This guy is so rapid and has been so dominant in Division 4 as we watch him get a little bit loose on the way through the S's, that he can kind of pick and choose how he runs these races and changes strategy on the fly. Although right now, it looks like he has some sort of a problem because he's dropped down to just half a second clear of Snake Eyes, and it's almost like his throttle is not giving 100%. So I wonder if he might be having wheel issues or something.
Those times by Snake Eyes are so consistent. That 125.6 where Revs has had a 26.2 in there, that was where the time was dropped.
Right. Loss in lap 4. I'll be very interested to see what this lap time is, but certainly not fantastic. Renegade looking for a move on Debrev now on the back straight as they come towards the chicane. Be careful, guys. There is a little bit of a latency issue here. Looks like Renegade playing it safe. Brakes a little bit early. Let's Debrev have it.
And Popper's nailed that chicane. He's 0.17 behind Snake Eyes.
Right on him here. 24.9 across the line there as well. What a lap from Petey Pops. Very, very quick through there. Now they get to the S's once again. Now this is dangerous for Revs because no matter how much he saves his tyres, he cannot outsave Petey Pops. The car simply cannot do it. So if Petey Pops is this close to Revs lawn now, in a few laps time, those tyres on that Sylvia are going to fall off a cliff. There's nothing that Revs can do about it. It will happen. The only thing he can do is delay it. So, when it does inevitably happen, is Petey Pop's going to have the pace and the advantage that gives him the chance to go for a win in this race here?
Well, if he can run 24.9 to 25.4 like his last 2 laps, he'll certainly be in the mix.
Fantastic drive so far for Petey Pops. Their Revs Laws eked it out to a second once again. It was 26.5 last time around, so the lap didn't look particularly slow, but it was a second slower approximately than Snake Eyes there. So that was the difference that we saw in the last lap. Of course, the mistakes that we saw Revs making made it pretty clear what was going on. There's a personal best there from Snake Eyes, so still pushing the lap times, but Revs Law dropping a 25 flat, and Petey Pops 25.5, so they've lost out a little bit to Revs here. But I think at this point, Petey Pops needs to start thinking about, can I get by this Porsche? Do I need to get by this Porsche? And I think the answer is that he does. But I don't know how he does it. What would you do in this situation, Graham?
We're halfway through. He's definitely got the better tyres. Pressure for a couple of laps, and by about lap 11 really start to push.
Just got to stay on that back bump, doesn't he? Getting a half-second penalty like that, and a bit loose on the exit there, is not going to help him. That is not what he needed. That half-second penalty was going to hurt him enough without that poor exit, and now I think he's going to lose out to Debrev as well. Look here, on board, shoots by the Alpha after serving a half-second. There we go. But the race is not over yet for Petey Pops. He's still in this. No. Here's Renegade.
Very impressed with Snake Eyes. He's sort of, the gap's alternating half a second, but he's holding it. Lap 8, lap 9 out of 14. Quick tyre update.
I think we are ready to rock and roll with that. Let's head over to our APR Automotive tyre and fuel update.
No worries. So with Revs, it's left-hand side of the side we'll talk about. He's got a bit over half on the front and basically 3/4 on the rear, on the left. Right side's good. Snake Eyes bit under half on the front and right on half on the rear, just with the mid-engine Porsche. Right hand side is excellent. Debrev, bit under half at the front, bit over half at the rear on the left hand side. Right hand side's untouched, very good. Poppers share 3/4 on the front and well over half on the rear on the left, and the right are brand new tyres. Renegade, bit under half on the front left and 3/4 on the rear left. Benier, he's probably sitting down about a bit over 1/4 on the left front, and just a little bit about the same on the left rear actually. He'll probably run the risk of having not much left on that left hand side of the car. Dazzer's a little bit better on both lefts, but not by much. Right-hand side's good. Keza, half in the front, bit over half at the rear. Right-hand side's good. Malevolent One, he's down to about a quarter on the front left and half on the rear left. Womball's about half and half on both left tyres. And Guy with no skills, his left front is down to probably 20%, very similar to the first race, and all these other tyres are up around the 3/4 mark or better.
Oh, man.
So really leaning. Yeah. Yeah, really leaning on that left front.
They couldn't really afford to have that incident earlier on. It's put him way back, and his tyre wear seems to be, his car seems to be the harshest on its tyres out of the entire field. So, very unfortunate that incident early on. See if he can recover a position or two. Got a lot of time to find if he wants to do that. That concludes our APR Automotive tyre update, perhaps not fuel update. But let's have a look at our leader now. Revs Law out the front. He's now cleared off to nearly 2 seconds. So he had a bit of a regression there, dropping back towards the drivers behind. About a second. But he's now eked that gap back out to 1.5, nearly 2 seconds. They're driving a consistent race once again. In the high 25s, mid 25s, sorry. That lap was a 26 though, according to the graphic. Snake Eyes with a 25.8 that lap, so it was a little bit faster than Revs. Good. 26.5 the last lap for Revs, so he's slowing it down a little bit, looking after the tyres, probably trying to get that extra little bit of time out of it. Revs, Snake Eyes rather, running a solid, consistent race. Barely out of the 25s on any laps. Great to see him putting down these consistent lap times and showing, or kind of sending the message to Revs Law saying, you may be faster than me, but are you as consistent as me? And I think the answer right now is Snake Eyes he's dropping the hammer, he's really laying it down. Mid-25s is no easy feat, of course, as displayed by Pete, who is possibly the fastest driver in Division 4 at the moment, Revs Law, who's occasionally dipping into the 26s here, 26.5 on the last lap, of course. Debrev now as well, also in the 25s. He's about a 1.5 seconds behind Snake Eyes. And he leads Renegade, who's had another good recovery here, and he's up to P4 now, and looking for a sniff at a podium here. That latency still present in his driving.
Yeah, just watching the throttle input of Revs Law, he just rolling off the throttle into the apex and getting the car straight and accelerating out. So he's definitely managing those tyres. It's not by luck.
Doing a really good job, I think. He's really multitasking as he heads through here and doubling up. You know, he's leading the way out, increasing that gap as he goes on, and gradually, continually improving his tyre wear compared to the drivers around him. Now, Petey Pops is the one I'm interested in here. Look at this. He's going for a move on Renegade. Up the inside already.
That's
I
what
wonder if
tyres
there
will
was
do.
a mistake there for Renegade at some point, but through goes Petey Pops. We'll see if he's got the straight line speed to keep it, though. Let's have a look now. On board with Renegade. There's an Alpha on your left. Have a look from Petey Pops' perspective. There's that Sylvia sneaking ahead. And he's going to have to tuck back inside. Will he go for a send into the chicane? Let's see what happens. He does. Who's going to be the later of the late breakers? It's going to be Petey Pops, and he makes that apex beautifully.
Very clean.
That was a textbook move from the doghouse driver. Up the inside. Perfectly judged braking, and took an excellent line through the entire chicane, avoiding compromising his line on exit. And that's why Renegade is not able to respond here into turn 1. So, a fantastic move there from Petey Pops. Absolutely by the book.
Second last lap, so it's now playing for sheep stations.
Petey Pops has got a chance at a podium here. He's got 2 seconds to find on Debrev. He's just got to keep it together for this lap. And I'm sure Debrev is struggling on his tyres. There's time coming out of him. They get onto the back straight, although Petey Pops cannot afford to forget about Renegade behind.
Yeah, Renegade, he's about 10% on that left front, so probably enough to not cause too much issue, but definitely not the same shape as the
Still
Alpha.
got a little bit of grip, but he's not going to be able to go sending any late lunges on the Alpha here. But let's have a look. He's still within touching distance. Here we go. Petey Pops on the inside. Is he? Ooh, tough one. Looks like it was a bit of a bump draft sort of thing going on there, but hard to say with the latency that we're seeing. Petey Pops once again holds onto it. He's got a poor
He just
exit
lost
though.
a bit on the drive, that's right. Yeah.
Bit of contact on the way through. That gives Petey Pops a little bit of a burst of speed there. And puts pain to any chance that Renegade had of launching an attack there into turn 1. He did have a good exit out of the chicane. That tire's got to be gone now.
Yeah, and I think a bit of latency come into play there. It was really weird.
But Debrev, Petey Pops has still chomped a whole lot of time out of Debrev here. He's right on him, you know. He's only a second behind.
The two cars in front are really suffering with left tyres.
There's only so many more corners that they can be affected by, though.
Yeah.
Two left, two right-handers up here, which will cause them to lean on those tyres a lot. A bit of time coming out of them. Oh, he's going to be in slipstream range. This is good for Petey Pops. He's going to need to... So here's my thought process. Petey Pops is too far back to go for a move here into the chicane. He's got a slipstream. It's going to give him a benefit on the way down here. He's going to have to do his best to get the ultimate exit out of this chicane and drive by Debrev to the line. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah.
Everyone's rooting for you, Petey Pops. We want that Alpha to score points in the podium, but he goes deep into the chicane and it's not good enough.
Rebs is crossing.
Rebs has parked it. The Black Rose car has parked it. Revs Law across the line, followed by Snake Eyes. Debrev, Petey Pops, and P4 unable to get that second spot, third spot rather. Renegade in P5, Benny in P6, Malevolent 1 across the line in P7, Keza Johnson in P8, Womble RMR, P9 for Red Mist, and Deza Sturley in P10 for Kraken Esports. Now, that Petey Pops moment at the end of the race had me on the edge of my seat. What a way to bring the entertainment. Okay, let's have a look at our results here. To the lobby screen. Revs Law takes victory 2 races in a row and the fastest lap this time around. And I think if that supersedes Petey Pops' lap from the first race, then that actually counts as the fastest lap for the round. Snake Eyes in the Cayman once again takes P2. A fantastic display from him and only overshadowed by Revs Law, who we know is a extremely quick driver here in Sector 1. Debrev P3 in the 650S once again. Petey Pops P4 with a great performance and almost recovering to P3, but going a little bit too deep at that final chicane. Renegade in the Sylvia for Hooncorp in P5. Benny in P6. Malevolent 1 in P7. Keza in P8. We hardly spoke of these guys during the race because there was so much action up the front that we couldn't really look away. But they were close. Look at the gap between Malevolent 1 and Keza. Only 4 tenths in it. So these guys were battling for sheep stations as much as the next guy. Womble P9, Dazza P10, and a guy with no skills after that earlier incident retiring to P11 and finishing a lap down on the rest of the field. So, your thoughts, Graham?
Yeah, no, that was I really enjoyed both races. It was good to see the outright pace of a few. I mean, Revs, we expected it. He's been doing it in most races this season, but it was really good to see the others come up, give the Nissans a bit of a shake. I think it was Snake Eyes in the Porsche. I thought it was a really solid drive, pretty much 25s every lap, and he kept Revs within 1 point, I think it was 1.7 or thereabouts. And also, for me, Poppers, I'll say it, well, Snake Eye was very close second for driver of the day. It was great to see Petey Pops. He hasn't had a good run this season, but not only to have some pace, and the Alpha came into this track, and it was really good to see him not make those mistakes. And some of those dives into that chicane were really well executed.
Sublime driving from Petey Pops there. Such a shame on that last lap that he misjudged his braking just that little bit that put him into the sand and left them unable to challenge the Brev towards the end. But a great drive in both races nonetheless in that little Alpha. Snake Eyes I was really impressed with as well. Looking at his lap times, as you were saying, 25 after 25, even Rev's Law wasn't doing that, and that's just a testament to his ability in that Porsche, and the Porsche being a car that we haven't really got a good gauge on because there's only one team running it, and I think he's performing really well. Is Snake Eyes, and to be only 3.8 behind Revs in that second race, and he wasn't too far behind him in the first race either. I think he's had a stellar performance tonight. Petey Pops, of course, is a very popular vote for driver of the day in the chat down there, and that was great from him.
And Debrev.
Oh, Debrev too. He's had a great race.
Solid race from Debrev, both races. I think the start of this race, he was back probably 3 or 4 places at the end of the first lap and back up to the podium. So that was a really solid drive.
He didn't get a lot of love from us on the cast here, Debrev, but that was because he was just so consistently solid in P3 there that there was nothing to really say about him because he wasn't fighting with anyone. He was just running his own race and sticking to his pace, and that's what got him a podium in the end, and a fantastic job done by him as well. So those 3 guys there, just fantastic driving, and Renegade as well has kind of flown under the radar a little bit. His recovery from, I think it was like P9 after qualifying, he's now P5, so he's done a fantastic job as well. Benia one behind him as well, much the same. And then Malevolent One, Keza, 7th and 8th in the 86s. They've had solid drives as well, battling from start to finish. Womble had a bit of a hard time. Dazza as well, the guy with no skills. Of course, that incident. I think a guy with no skills was really quick apart from his tyre wear. His tyre wear really let him down tonight. All right, so we will...
Yeah, certainly hard on that left front. Yeah.
He was tough on it. I wonder if he's a controller driver. We'll have to investigate that. But we will move off into a short break, and we'll come back to you guys with Division 2 action, so stay tuned here at Sector 1. Leave a like on the stream if you're enjoying it, subscribe if you're new. We will be back in just a couple of minutes.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. We are back at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and we are moving into more action for you this evening. 2 more sprint races coming at you, hot and fresh from Road Atlanta, this time for Division 2. The big guns of the evening. We've got a bunch of guys on track right now, ready to rock and roll for this round this evening. So let's show you once again what our standings look like here for Division 2. So we've got Lenosis currently leading the way for Obsession Motorsport after a dominant display so far this season. Although he wasn't able to take victory at Spa last time around, with Lunacy currently P2 taking victory over him for that round. Old Wakey P3 still in the fight at the top, but not quite as close as he'd like to be on the points. Evil Evo 9 for Doghouse Motorsport in the Alpha will be one to watch this evening. As we saw with PD Pops earlier on, that Alpha can be dangerous in the late stages of the race. Stickers for Lightning Motorsport in the Toyota Supra in P5 on the standings. DP Mario P6 in a Sylvia. Crazy Good Kung Fu in the Porsche, which we saw perform very well in the first round this evening as well. Dadson in the Mercedes. Karen in the 86 for Deeds Racing. Petstar in the other Doghouse entry this evening. So the third of 3 in the division, in category 2, as we are calling it now here tonight. So another one to watch out for there in the Alfa Romeo in the late stages of the race, as put on display by PD Pops in the last race. Black Friday P11, Maverick in P12 in the Ferrari, Race Fan P13, and Tim Drags, a new driver to the Sector 1 Sim Racing family here in the second of the ISA Esports Porsches as well. So that Porsche looking fairly strong in the hands of Snake Eyes in the last race, so we'll see if they can do more of the same in this race. And those Alphas will be one to watch as well. Very quick off the line, much like the Ferrari as well. So the start's going to be interesting. We'll see if Lenosis can keep up his winning record for the season and perhaps equal the record set by Geesh in Division 1 of most wins in a single season. Lenosis certainly knocking on the door of that record as well. I am joined for this particular race this evening by our race director, Carbonboy. How are you doing, sir? dangerous stuff. They are Division 2. They are very, very quick. And we have also got our tertiary commentator back for this Division 2 race as well, in the form of Pruski. They didn't outfit the comms room with 3 microphones, so we had to send our intern to get a third one for our third commentator, since it's not so common that we usually have one in here. But Pruski has joined us, Wide Hips himself. How are you doing, sir? Yeah, and the mix of cars as well is fantastic, and those alphas I think are really going to shake it up as well. So to remind you guys, if you are not familiar with Road Atlanta, we got a 4-kilometer circuit with 12 turns on it. Although that's up for debate depending on which ones you count as corners. The drivers are using soft tyres only this evening, which will prove interesting because they do not tend to last all the way to the end unless you're an Alfa Romeo driver. So they've got to be careful about their tyre wear, and it's fairly clear skies here in Georgia, USA, so no rain to be concerned about for these guys. And I think we are not too far away from getting qualifying underway. How are we looking, Carbonboy? What do you think we are on a time frame for? That is because I have unmuted the wrong audio piece. There we go. So now they can hear you. So let's start again.
Radio.
I will introduce my race director to you all once more. We have Carbonboy in the box. How are you doing, sir?
Good evening. I am excited for tonight's racing. These guys are looking super quick tonight here at Road Atlanta, so it should be on for young and old.
And of course, I must introduce once again Mr. Pruski, or Wide Hips, as he's more popularly known, the masterful defender here at Sector 1. How are you doing tonight, mate?
I'm good. Hopefully the world can hear myself and Luke now. As I was saying before, I don't know how this is going to go tonight. Top 5 could be anywhere. I mean, obviously I'm going to root for my young man Lockie Lenosis, but look, it's anyone's game in this sprint race. 20 minutes, Alpha, watch out.
Am I joined in the commentary box by 2 Obsession drivers?
That is correct.
I'm outnumbered. Who decided this was a good idea? Righto. I think we kick qualifying off and before I get dogpiled.
I have smashed that big orange button with
So
a
it's
fresh coat
orange
of paint.
now. Did you? Oh, you have painted it. Okay, very good.
I paint it every single week because somebody keeps cleaning the paint off. It's
It
super
is the best
frustrating.
color. It is the best color to have.
That's an obsession thing now, isn't it? That must be. now you're just getting biased. Couldn't be the red button. That's too Doghouse or CP related, isn't it? I would imagine.
No comment.
No.
All right, we're heading over now to our guys on the qualifying grid here, exiting the pits at the moment. We are on board with Tim Durags as the guys head out on their first out laps. Let's have a look here. Mixed up, but we'll head through our driver lineup for this evening. So we've been through our standings list here. Catstar currently, or not out the front, but according to my timing table, he is cruising, leading the way for the Blacklight Motorsport crew. So he is sitting a wee way down the bottom of the points table, as we saw just before, but that Ferrari could be very strong around this track, I think, and its tyre wear tends to be fairly decent as well, so it might be able to challenge those Alfa Romeos. DP Mario and the Sylvia for Black Rose Racing. A second Black Rose entry of the night, of course, after a guy with no skills. He'll be hoping not to replicate the bad luck of his teammate in the first race of the evening. Dadson in the Mercedes, rocking his bright yellow division champion banner across the top of the windshield there, so definitely one to watch out for. Lenosis, and surprised to hear no cheering from my co-commentators there in P4 for Obsession Motorsport, rocking the APR Automotive branding on the outside, and I think it might actually be a good time. Pruski, would you be able to run us through quickly the story of APR Automotive? Can you tell us what you guys are all about?
We're a small workshop, Launceston, Tasmania, servicing northeast. General mechanical, logbook servicing again there as well. We do tyres, batteries. Pretty good crew. We've got a little motorsport division off the side as well. That was a little bit of a side hustle after hours, but not to be biased or anything. We turned up last week at the racetrack and got P1 as well. So I think we know how to deliver a strong car throughout that workshop. So thanks for the plug.
No, that's all right. And delivering a strong car in Sector 1 as well. Lenosis has been dominating all season in his Obsession vehicle. But great to hear what you guys are all about. So that's the company that sponsors our tyre and fuel update, APR Automotive. So get amongst it if you're a Tasmanian local. Keep an eye out for their shop, and if you've got a car that needs any work done, send it in there. The guys will look after you. PLE Black Friday in the Red Mist Racing car as our first time setters come across the line. Evil Evo is the doghouse driver to watch out for there in P6. Race Fan in the CP car as well. Tim Durags in the Porsche. Stickers in P9 for Lightning Motorsport. Catstar. And we've had a little bit of our mix-up now, so we're hard to keep track of who's where and who's doing what. But we'll have a look now at Lenosis, who is provisional pole sitter with a 24.471. So he sits now 0.287 ahead of Karen Unleashed for the Deeds entry in the 86 there for in P2. And Lenosis is purple once again, so he's looking to set another faster time. And I dare say he'll do it because it looks like he's going to pick up a bit of a slipstream from your Division 3 champion from last season in the form of Dadson here. The Bacchus Racing Mercedes AMG. We'll jump on board now with our championship leader, Lenosis, in the Obsession car. Deep in the slipstream of Dadson in front of him in that black and gold Mercedes. As we head down towards the chicane, will Lenosis be impeded on the way through? He's going to have to hope for a clean run here. He might set a fantastic lap time. It looked like he was a little bit down there as he came through the middle sector. So he might elect to pit here for fresh tyres. Let's see what he does. In he goes. Lenosis comes in for a fresh set of boots. Karen Unleashed, we're looking at now coming out of the chicane here. Evil Evo has gone to P2 in the Alpha. That's important for later on. Karen Unleashed not able to improve his time. Lunacy, an important one to watch as well. Coming off the back of a victory at the Enduro round last time out at Spa in the 458 GT3. He improves to P11.
One to watch here as well, Adam, will be Cruisin' in the Ferrari. He's always been a stable favourite of his ever since the inception from 3LS now into S1. So watch out for. I'm very confident he'll be top 5 in this quali.
He does love a midship, does Cruisin'. He's looked for any opportunity to drive one since the old 458 days, and once again this season driving a mid-engine naturally aspirated car and enjoying those rocket starts in the GT3 category, and now on a personal best lap time as well. He's going to halve the deficit if he keeps going as he is to Lenosis, bring it down under 2/10 if he keeps it together on the way out of the chicane. Let's have a look what he can do. But no, opts for a pit stop. So it's off that lap, even though an improvement was coming. So clearly believing that he's got something better in the locker for later on. So if we look at Lenosis now, it's currently serving a penalty, so that's not going to affect his next flying lap. That would have been for crossing the pit lane lines on entry or exit. Very easy to do here at this track. They're very difficult lines to follow, but thankfully for us, a pit stop is not required for this race, so we don't have to worry about that too much. But in qualifying, it can be a bit of a problem. So, Lenosis now heading around. He's 1/1000th clear of Evil Evo 9 in the Alfa Romeo 4C, who currently sits in second. So, Lenosis does not have it easy here.
I was just about to mention that there's two surprises for me right now in qualifying. Number one is, as you just mentioned, Evil Evo being P2 by 1/1000th in the little Alpha. He's clearly worked out how to get the absolute best out of that car. The other surprise for me was is Race Fan down in P8. Having kept an eye on him throughout the practice sessions, I've actually expected him to be a little bit higher up the order by now, but maybe he's saving that for the low fuel, fresh tyres situation.
So he's got a 25.101 on the board at the moment. Have you seen him set faster times than that in practice?
I have seen him in the 24s.
So he's got potential to find more time. He's currently on an outlap, so he's been in for a fresh set of boots. If he wants pole position, he's going to have to go 6.5 tenths faster than he's already gone. So he's going to need a 24.4 rather, in order to unseat Lenosis. Do you think he can do it, or do you think it's going to be a bit of a tall order?
I will be hard pressed to cheer for anyone to knock my teammate off pole positions. To
Asking
be
you the real
perfectly
questions
honest,
now, aren't we?
Just watching Evil Evo. Then, however, though, he is running around burning up fuel at this stage. It'd be interesting to know how many minutes are left to go. He hasn't pitted as yet, whereas as we know, Lenosis has pitted. So whether Lenosis wants to pit again, or whether Evil's just going to run around and burn some fuel up and go for a one-lap dash.
I think Evil Evo's gone past the last pit window, so there's shy of 2 minutes remaining. And with a 1.5 minute lap time, he's not going to have the time to do an outlap after coming in for fresh tyres. So he's going to have probably 2 more bites of the cherry here, starting with the next lap, because this lap here is 6 tenths down, to have a go at pole position. But he can't get too complacent with this P2, because I get the feeling that there's a couple of guys building up to a fastest lap sequence at the end of this qualifying session. Everyone's set their bankers now, but I get the feeling that everyone's got a little bit more in their locker. Namely, Lunacy down in P12 here. I'm sure he's got more potential to set a faster time here. 8 tenths off the pole position at the moment. Amazing that there's less than a second up and down.
There's some danger here at the moment. Karen's just coming through the final chicane. He is well up on his previous best time.
So slipstream there from the drivers in front.
Might be able to knock Lenosis off. Bang!
Pole position, provisional pole for Karen Unleashed. Unbelievable from the Deeds driver. Rex Fan pops up to P4 as well. There was a couple of times sit there. We didn't quite catch all of them. But Karen Unleashed has laid down the gauntlet, and he is followed quickly by Lunacy, who we were just talking about, who's popped up into P2 here, provisional P2 in the Ferrari, and unseated the Obsession driver from the front row.
Oh
Karen
dear,
in the 86, that 86 has had some complaints about it in the past couple of weeks, saying it wasn't the strongest car around Road Atlanta, but Brent here, the Deeds team owner, saying, I don't believe you. I'm going to drive it. I'm just going to drive it fast. That's what we do at Deeds.
Lenosis has, he'll be finished with his qualifying here. He was a bit of a naughty boy, picked up a 1 second penalty on that lap, so that has killed off any opportunity for him to return fire on Karen.
Wow, and this is the final lap, so these guys are done. Lenosis to the line, will not improve by the looks. Lunacy's got one more chance to unseat Karen Unleashed on the way into the chicane. Old Wakey, P5. Race Fan to provisional pole. In the dying moments, by less than half a second, Lunacy goes pole position by 2 tenths across the line there.
Boom.
Dominates Race Fan across the line. Blacklight Motorsport car comes in at the death and throws
Talk about
everything.
Your clutch lap.
That was 3
insane.
clutch laps in a row. That was unbelievable. And it was so close. Look at the gaps, because Race Fan took Karen 0.04 and then 0.7 to Lenosis. And Lunacy just says, I'm going to go for a 0.1 and clear you guys by 2 tenths. That is...
I can only imagine the amount of screaming coming out from underneath Karen's helmet right now.
Oh, he won't be happy about that after setting such a good time earlier on. But
Still put him on
No.
the second row. Won't be on the front. Second row next to Lenosis as well. So.
yeah, and ahead of Lenosis is a good place to be in this division because he has dominated this season all the way through. So
This is where we
he's the
will
man
get to
beat,
see.
you know?
This is where we'll get to see which car is worse off the line, the 8.6 or the Supra.
Oh, I get the feeling it's going to be close. I guess Toyota's just not got a good history in drag racing.
I reckon Evil Evo in P5 there is licking his lips at this because that little Alpha off the line is a rocket ship in comparison.
He could turn fifth into third here off the start. That McLaren's not too quick either. Once we get through the qualifying session here, we'll jump in, have a look at our results on the broadcast. But just to remind you all, of course, here are your Division 2 standings as they sit. So if you take into account your qualifying session that went through, so Lenosis down in P4 for Obsession, currently leading the way in the championship on points. Lunacy, who's taken pole position this time around, threatening the Obsession driver for his championship lead. Old Wakey in P3 for Kraken Esports was not able to crack the top 5, I don't think, in that qualifying session. And we'll jump over to our qualifying results now, so you can have a look at where everyone stacks up. Lunacy with a 24.160 ahead of Racefan by just shy of 0.2 of a second, putting that time down in the last moments, the dying embers of the qualifying session. Karen Unleashed within a 10th of Racefan in front, and again, Lenosis not far behind him either, and then a 1,000th of a second back to Evil Evo in P5. You look at that, 0.311 the gap, and then 0.312. There's nothing between them. That 4C could have easily been in P4 there with a slight change to that lap. Old Wakey in P6 in the GR Supra for Kraken Esports. DP Mario in P7 in the Sylvia. Black Friday in P8 for Red Mist Racing. Stickers in the Supra, it's P9. P10 for Cruisin in the 458. Datsun in P11 in the AMG. Hatstar in 12th in the 4C for Doghouse Motorsports. And the two ISA Esports cars down the bottom there with 25 and 26 respectively. So, did that qualifying session go the way you thought it would, Carbonboy?
Absolutely not, actually.
It went every which way at the last second there, didn't it?
From the start of the session, it was okay. Yep, this is exactly as I'm expecting it to go. And then that last 3 minutes just picked everything up, turned it on its head, and
we were talking about it too. It just, you could feel the pressure building throughout the field after those guys had taken their pit stops and they were on their outlaps. You could see sort of the order that everyone was in on the timing sheet, but you could just feel that everyone was building up to that one big lap at the end, and we saw 3 of them get laid down in a row. Lenosis not able to answer, of course, having got that penalty late on, which really threw his qualifying sideways. And Evil Evo, not sure what happened to him in the late stages, but he never pitted for fresh tyres, so that might have been a qualifying changing error for him. What about you, Pruski? What are your thoughts on the qualifying session?
Mixed, up, down. Look, it's so close. I mean, what do you got? You got a 124.1 set there by Lunacy, all the way down as far as I can see to P12 for a 25.1. Like, you got 1 second covering 12 cars. Like, it's still very, very close.
I still can't believe that gap between Lenosis and Evil Evo. That is unbelievable. 1,000th of a second. How often do you see that?
I got a little bit of inside intel on a penalty lap. He was 0.3 up, purple there. However, due to a unforeseen error, it cost him a penalty. Otherwise, who knows? It could have been further up for him.
Yes, of course. For Lenosis, I wonder if that was purple on Racefan's time or Karen's time or Lunacy's time, because of course Lunacy set his right at the very last second. But that is going to be our grid for the first of the 2 sprint races this evening. So what do you say, Carbonboy? Are we ready to get this show on the road?
I am as ready as you are. I am keen. Qualifying's one thing, but there are still 2 20-minute races. Of course, the second one being based off the results of this race, so anything can happen. Hopefully, none of it bad.
And this start is going to be very interesting as well. We've got no idea who's going to be the quickest off the line. Go to the grid. Lunacy in the Ferrari on pole position. McLaren of Racefan P2. Two drivers that hardly anyone would have expected to be on the front row. Lenosis down in P4 with Evil Evo behind him. The lights are on. Everyone's ready to go. They're out and they're off and racing. It's a great start for the 4C, but it's sandwiched between the two cars ahead of it. Karen comes across trying to block, but not able to do anything here. The 4C is going to be on the inside of Lenosis heading into turn 1. Can he hold on to the position? It's going to be third for the 4C. The Obsession car's off and into the dirt. Lenosis has gone into the grass. He's lost it on the way in. Corrected the oversteer and ended up in the grass there. An unbelievable start for the championship leader.
You will notice that the two Obsession guys in the comms box have gone a little bit quiet right now.
Yeah, no bias in that. It's just standard proceedings. We'll have a look now at Evil Evo, who's under threat from Karen Unleashed once again. So after the start, of course, where the Alpha is so strong, it really starts coming under threat as soon as these guys get into the power zones, and that Alpha's straight line weakness becomes so apparent. They're 3 wide in the background there as well, as Old Wakey looks to the outside of Black Friday, cruising there as well, looking for an opportunity to go through. Looks like he's going to make his way. They're going to be 3 wide on the way down to the chicane. What's going to happen here? Early on the brakes for Old Wakey, cruising down the inside, and he's going to take the position from Black Friday here. The red mist car going backwards a little bit through the chicane this time around. Now, I don't know if this race is ever going to settle down, but we're going to have to look for an opportunity to play a replay of that start. We've got it saved here. Down the inside goes Old Wakey on Black Friday, takes back the position. We've also got a position change there between Cruisin and Karen. Cruisin going through into P5. Now in pursuit of DP Mario, who's had a great start.
He has done well. I can't recall off the top of my head where he qualified, but I dare say he's made up at least 3 positions.
I think he was about 8th, if I remember correctly. So he's had a very good start there to get to where he is now. We'll see if we can continue that form. Although historically, DP Mario has had a real hard time saving his tyres.
Old Wakey just absolutely sent it down the inside of Karen there onto that corner going onto the back straight. Made it clean. He just went past like Karen was standing still.
I don't know if Karen flashed the lights there after that, or he was just sleeping there, but he just left the door wide open for Old Wakey.
He loves a bit of light flashing, does Karen. Him and Lenosis, last time around at Spa, back and forth, flashing the lights at one another. So I would not be surprised by that sort of behaviour from Karen. But we're going to have a look now at a replay. There's a lot of damage on the front of Lenosis' Obsession car. I hope you don't see that there, Pruski. I'm sure you'll be very disappointed in the livery action. So here we go. On the way into turn 1. Let's see what happens here. Gets a little bit sideways and corrects and grips right up and drives it straight to the grass. Here comes the wall and straight into it. Stops dead. So rejoining the track takes a long time from this position. Gets on track and he's now about 10 seconds behind the lead pack. So
is that speaking from a little bit of experience there, Adam?
You know what? It is. I did the same thing last week at that corner, although in my defence I had dead tyres at the time. And here we go.
Fair.
Lenosis is setting purple sectors now, so I think he's on for something, although he's picked up a half-second penalty there, so perhaps not doing what he needs to do quite right. We will come back to him later. He is taking time out of Patstar very quickly though, but we want to have a look what's going on at the top. Lunacy also purple on the way through into the final sector.
Battle was on for P4 at the moment. Cruisin's making a move on DP Mario.
On the outside for Cruisin, not able to make it happen. DP Mario up to 4th now.
This is a great little battle
For DP Mario.
The top 3 seem to have sort of just skipped away a little bit and spread themselves out. There's 1.3 seconds from Lunacy back to Race Fan, and then 1.2 seconds back to Evil Evo. Then there's another, well, it was 1.5, but it's getting quite close to 2 seconds back to DP Mario and Cruisin'.
DP Mario and Cruisin' battle is hotting right up. They had another go at it through turn 1. It looks like DP Mario might have pulled a little bit of a gap now. Got a little bit of breathing room, and he's going to have to try go in pursuit of the Alfa Romeo in front of him, driven by Evil Evo 9.
This is on for young and old from 4th back to 9th. Any of them, Sticker's sitting in 9th at the moment, but if any of the 5 guys in front of him in that train,
huge, yeah.
If any of those 5 guys make a mistake, he's right there and will be able to snag 2, 3, 4 positions in a blink of an eye.
Not a lot of gaps between them. Cruisin' once again going for a move on DP Mario. Let's see what he can do. Not one to shirk from a challenge as Cruisin'. Will he look to the inside on the way into the chicane? No. Really seen pulling out of a move there from Cruisin'. Playing it safe, looking at the long game. Perhaps thinking DP Mario will be quicker for a time until his tyres wear out. Notoriously
he's
poor on his
definitely...
tyres is DP Mario.
Cruisin' is definitely one of the greatest strategic drivers that I know. He's incredibly patient. He will just sit behind you for lap after lap after lap until he spots the moment, and then he's gone, he's past you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Strategic master in the Ferrari, driving up to the back of DP Mario. Running a great race so far in the Blacklight Motorsport car. DP Mario is trying to pursue the Alpha, but not able to make inroads at the moment. Leads car of Karen back there in P7 after a poor start, looking to recover what he can from this race. Still within touch of the battle pack, but see what he can do as the race goes on. See if that tyre wear comes in a little bit stronger than the others around him. Those Supras tend to be pretty harsh on their tyres, so those guys really need to try get as much of a gap as they can before they start running into tyre wear issues, understeer, oversteer, all that sort of thing. A lot of guys going wide on the exit of the chicane there. Got to be careful not to pick up a penalty. Have a look back, Black Friday in the Red Mist car ahead of Stickers, who's still in this pack. Tim Drags, Crazy Good Kung Fu have made a bit of a recovery over Dadson and Lenosis and Patstar. Lenosis now up to P13, making a little bit of a comeback.
Old Wakey's having a really solid drive here at the moment, sitting in P6. He's
just
right
sitting
on the
back,
back end.
waiting. He's waiting for an opportunity. He can see what's going up ahead with Cruisin' and DP Mario, and I just think he's just biding his time. He's certainly biding his tyres up too, but he's biding his time.
I think he knows that getting involved in this battle now would be productive for him. He could just wait for these two to potentially take each other out as well. You know, as soon as Cruisin' goes for a move, DP Mario is going to know about it, and DP Mario is not the sort of guy to take an attack lying down. So you know he's going to defend it. So any sort of incident could seriously profit Old Wakey back here as they look to be going for it now. Cruisin' nearly diving down the inside there into the chicane. He's getting really close to the back of that Sylvia. These guys need to start thinking about that Alpha in front though. Starting to get away, and it seems like Cruisin' might have the pace to keep up with him.
Speaking of keeping
look
up,
to the inside. Here we go. Into turn 1. Not quite able to do it.
speaking
Mario
of keeping
cuts
up,
cuts the nose off.
someone who's not quite going away is Karen, currently sitting in P7. He's just hanging onto the back of Old Wakey there, and well, he's dropped. Stickers has dropped off the back a little bit. There's a 2-second gap between himself and Karen, but yeah, Karen's just.
He's hanging around like a bad beer, and he does that very, very well.
What, hang around or the bad beer?
Do you have something to say about Deeds Brewery?
What's the time? No, I'm not saying anything.
6 minutes, Brewski, 6 minutes.
So old Wakey, just chugging along at the moment, keeping an eye on the battle in front of him. Let's jump on board and see what we can see from on board the Supra of Kraken Esports. To the outside goes Cruisin now, looking to make the overtake here at the chicane and goes through. So did Mario have to serve a half-second penalty there, perhaps?
I didn't quite catch it, but I don't think so. I think, ooh, this is going to get spicy. Final turn. Mario down the inside.
Mario, look to
Better
the inside.
drive.
It's hard to put two cars through here. One of you might have to lift. There you go, Cruisin lets him through. That move on the back straight just looked a little bit too easy for Cruisin though. That's the reason why I asked that. But I think he just went through on raw pace alone.
We're at the
Wakey
halfway
at the
point
front
of this race. Should it be time for an APR Motorsport tyre update?
I think so.
Absolutely.
So I will head us over to the APR screen. So, take us through,
Now,
Carbonboy.
Bossman, would you care to do the honours?
Well, P1, Lunacy. Over half a tank. Front left, not
Don't
that
worry
good.
too much about fuel in this race. Just the tyres.
Still a weight factor, but
He looks after all aspects of the car at APR Automotive, so it's important.
front left with 10% left. The rest of the tyres are pretty good. Well, race fan, much better tyre there. Much better tyre. That front left. I mean, probably the only one we need to focus on here, but that front left, a little bit less, probably 55% worn. Evil Evo, even better again. This is a dark horse in this Alpha. This car's going to come to him late in the race here, and I can see this being a solid top 3 finish there. Cruising in the Ferrari, probably 85% wear on that front left, fuel at 50%. Karen, marginally better on that one there, probably sort of say 75% gone, looking solid. Old Wakey, same, I guess, maybe fraction better than Karen, but doing very, very well there. Brad, stickers in the Supra, surprisingly, not that bad, actually, there in terms of tyre wear. Probably 80% gone at this stage. Tim Drags, quite surprising, that left rear showing equal amount of wear as opposed to the left front. Crazy good Kung Fu, carbon copy there of Tim Drags in terms of tyre wear. Black Friday, again, carbon copy there. Pretty much of a muchness down the left-hand side, probably 75% gone. Dadson, he's probably showing 92% gone there on that front left. That rear left ain't that good either. Lenosis, well, he's done. Look, if I was Lenosis, I'd nearly just go on pit, fresh set of boots, and go for fastest lap.
Just as an observation, TP Mario's back in P13.
We missed that.
He's got green tyres.
He has brand new tyres. He has
boxed?
pitted.
Oh, wow.
He's boxed.
Wow, okay, rightio, that's how that happened. And last but not least, we got Pat Star.
Pat Star has looked after his tyres very well in the Alpha there. Having said that, he is 15 seconds behind DP Mario. Front left, look, you might as well say 30% gone. So,
I wonder if DP Mario's going to go for the fastest lap. I mean,
I think that's a genuine strategy to run 2 stints. I think it's just the fastest way for him to do it because he kills his tyres so quickly.
it's a bit detrimental to him because points are awarded for the top 8 positions in this race, and he was on for a top 8 finish.
Unless he's had a mistake that we missed off air there.
Quite possibly.
We'll see how it comes back to him. So he's 11 seconds behind Lenosis now. We'll see how that goes on. But that concludes our APR Automotive tyre and fuel update, or just tyre update perhaps, for this race, brought to you by Adam Pruitt.
Oh, Evil Evo's had a bit of a mishap. He's back down to P6. Race fans taking the race lead, just, quietly.
Oh wow, it's the lead change. The APR Automotive tyre and fuel update has caused us to miss a lot here by the look of things. So, Race Fan in the lead, Lunacy P2, Cruisin P3, so the 2 Blacklight teammates, Karen breathing down the neck of Cruisin here, by the way. and also Old Wakey in the mix. So these guys still going at it. Old Wakey up the inside of
turn
Karen
one.
here. Not going to commit too hard by the looks.
Yeah, clever move there, I think, by Wakey to pull out of that.
These guys are so close.
Oh.
It's starting to slow each other down at this point.
Karen may see an invoice for that little skip over the curb, and he does.
That's the
for
person
penalty.
who's had an issue. Here we go. Evil Evo 9 is in P6 after being in that top 3 for most of the race. He's run a 132 on lap 10, so he's had a crash somewhere.
Bugger.
Such a shame. But he's got time for the race to come back to him yet. Lap 11, these guys are going to start seeing real issues with their tyres. This battle pack in front of him, all the way up to P3 actually, is still in sight for Evil Evo. So the race is not over yet. Let's go on board on the Alpha and have a look at the action in front of us. We're just behind Old Wakey here, and the battle between Cruisin and Karen is kicking right off. Looks like Karen might have served a penalty there because Old Wakey has cruised on through as well. And
That is
now
correct.
Evil Evo is right in the mix.
Yeah, that penalty, Karen managed to make his way past Cruisin.
Look at this
Just
as well.
on the-
A terrible exit for Old Wakey. It's going to allow both of them through here. To the inside goes Evil Evo 9 in the Alpha, and there's a little bit of contact potentially with Old Wakey, who gets a little bit sideways
Good
and onto the
save.
grass, but manages to keep it together. Stickers to the inside now.
Yeah, so it was a great save there from Old Wakey. That was bringing back flashbacks for me from last week, and yeah, I didn't have the skills to pay the bills, whereas Old Wakey does. He's managed to keep that Supra facing in the correct direction. So well done there, mate.
Now, Old Wakey is a stalwart of the Sector 1 community. He's been around longer than most, I think. And a veteran of the Sector 1 series. And here he goes side by side with Lightning Motorsport team owner Stickers. Around the outside goes Old Wakey, using that experience. He's gone a little bit too wide, and he's going to door bash with the Lightning Motorsport team owner and lose out a little bit. And the ISA Esports driver of Tim Durags is going to profit here and tuck in behind Stickers as well.
I feel like we're going to see a little bit of door bashing, not through aggression from the drivers.
Here's a move,
but
keep
just
your
from
eyes
the
peeled
fact-
for P5. Evil Evo 9 on Karen into the chicane. Through goes the Alpha up the inside of the 86 and into P4, and now in pursuit of Cruising. Those tyres really coming back to help that Alfa Romeo in the late stages here.
Oh, Stickers got sent off there. I reckon there'll be a chat after that post race. That's for sure.
Well, as I was saying, I was anticipating a fair bit of door bashing, not through aggression, but just from the fact that everyone's tyres are absolutely cooked. And I feel like that was a very large factor in that little bit of contact
Let's
there
have a look
between...
now, a replay of Stickers versus Old Wakey through the chicane. And it's, it was Tim Durags that pushed him wide off the apex there.
And Tim
into the
Durags
grass.
has binned it after the first chicane.
Wow, it's all coming apart now for these guys. Let's have a look where Tim
Patstar in
Durags
the
has
pits.
ended up now. Patstar in. Patstar is retiring. Tim Durags now in P13. Lunacy cruising under threat from Evil Evo here. Let's have a look and see if Evil Evo can't make a move into the chicane for the second lap in a row.
I was informed before the race that Patstar was driving one-armed tonight. He has torn a rotator cuff in the shoulder. So credit to him for at least giving it a red-hot go, but I feel like that injury might just be a bit too much for him to handle tonight.
Just witnessed Evil Evo 9 going for an attack on Cruisin into the chicane, but Cruisin parking the car in a spot that makes it too difficult for the Alpha to get by. As we head on to lap 14, what might be the last lap for these guys. And they're side by side now, the Alpha getting a great exit out of turn 1, but not able to do anything with it. Checking on our leader. Race Fan for CP Motorsports leads the way in the McLaren. Ahead of Lunacy in P2 and the Ferrari for Blacklight Motorsport. Evil Evo is through. We've just about missed that. We've just caught the back end of it. Evil Evo goes through on Cruisin at the exit of the S's. and heads into the double right-hander now. Let's have a quick look at that on board. Here we go through the S's on board with Evil Evo 9. A little bit wide there for the Ferrari. Gets checked up into the last corner and wide of the apex there.
Old Wakey spun onto the back straight. He's just gotten a little too eager on the throttle on those dead tyres and has put the car around. Hasn't lost any positions out of it though.
He's doing okay. Doesn't appear to be losing a significant amount of time on the back straight either. But he's all good for now, but not the sort of mistake that he'll want to be making.
Oh, Race Fan coming over the line. That's it, race 1.
To win for Race Fan, Lunacy P2, Evil Evo with a great result in P3, Cruisin in P4, Karen in P5. He'll be happy with that result. Old Wakey will take to the line for P6, and just quietly, DP Mario has pinched the fastest lap here as well. Black Friday, P7. Oh, and they're all very close across the line there. Dadson, Lenosis, Stickers, and Mario across the line between 8th and 11th. Tim Durags takes P12. Crazy Good Kung Fu will come across the line in P13 here.
Oh, that's
Bit of an incident at the chicane.
That's an alternative line.
I don't think that was what he meant to do, I'm sure. And Pat Star, of course, retiring to the pits in the late stages of the race with an injury. We'll see.
I've just been checking in with the YouTube chat. Shizer has confirmed that Pat Star does have an issue with his shoulder, so I will check in with him and see if he's able to continue for race.
Well, good on him for making an effort of it. You know, it takes a lot to commit to something like this with an injury like that. You can imagine that having a shoulder issue and trying to use a wheel would be very difficult and potentially very painful. So, commitment to the cause from Pat Star, but he'll have to do what's best for his health, of course. But the upshot is a very interesting race, top to bottom, and so many changes in the final stages that we could hardly keep up with. Let's have a look now at our results for race 1. Just race 1. We've got a whole nother race to go. So Race Fan takes the win. 24.6, his fastest lap. Not enough for the fastest lap of the race, though, in the 650S for CP Motorsport. So great victory for him. Lunacy in P2, who'll be a little bit disappointed after taking pole position and leading most of the race as well. Finishes just shy of 2 seconds behind Race Fan there in P2. Evil Evo 9 with a good result there in P3. An unfortunate incident dropping him back behind a couple of drivers in front of him. And might have been on for P2 there if that hadn't happened. But you'll have to hope for more of the same in the second race. Cruisin in P4, the second of the Blacklight Motorsport cars. A great recovery drive from him after being, I think, down outside the top 10. I think it was after qualifying. Karen Unleashed in the 86 P5. Not a bad result for him after qualifying, I think, on the second road of this race. Old Wakey in the GR Supra in P6, managing to hold on to it after an incident on the last lap. Black Friday P7, and Dadson, your Division 3 champion from last season in the SLS, P8. Lenosis in P9, a disappointing result from him, looking for a comeback drive in the second race this evening. Should prove interesting to see what he can do from P9. P10 Stickers, DP Mario in P11 in the Sylvia after taking a alternative strategy and boxing for fresh tyres at about the halfway point. He did, however, take the fastest lap, and I would imagine that lap would hold up in race 2 as well, unless anyone else does a pit stop as well. Tim Durags P12, Crazy Good Kung Fu in P13, and unfortunately not able to cross the line and retiring Pat Star for Doghouse in the Alfa Romeo 4C. One of their strongest races as well. So, your thoughts on the result, Carbonboy?
Surprised is one word. Probably the strongest word I'll use. Very surprised. That was fairly frantic, like trying to keep pace with who was doing what and where and to who. I was struggling to keep up there. That was amazing.
Honestly, how much was the TAB paying for a Race Fan win in that particular race? I think anyone who put a tenner on that would have probably turned a decent return in for that. But a great drive from him, of course. Evil Evo in P3 as well, driver of the day material. Seeming like the alphas are getting their fair share of love this round. What about you, Prua? What do you think of the result from race 1?
I'm just solidly impressed there. Just top 5 was just phenomenal. Kept it clean. How these guys can race around with these tyres just completely gone for 4 laps solid and still keep it somewhat on the track. Like, credit where credit's due. Cruising there in, it was a P4, P5, one of those two. Called that quite early. This kind of track with on camber, off camber really suits his driving style. And as we heard earlier on, he's very methodical and picks and chooses his battles at the right time.
Yeah, it was a good drive from Cruisen. Great recovery in that Ferrari, and like you guys were saying, there was a lot of gauged decision making as he was sitting behind. I think it was Karen or Old Wakey for a lot of the race, but very fantastically done, of course. And Evil Evo, great to see him where he was as well. But the big talking point, of course, and I'm not just bringing this up because he's your teammate, the championship leader for Division 2, finishing down in P9, the first of the 2 sprints. Now, I know it's not a whole lot of points on the line for the first sprint race, but there is some there, so that's going to affect his championship hopes. What do you guys think of that, and do you think he can bounce back for the second race this evening?
I told him to go outside for 30 seconds, get some fresh air, come in, bring it home for top 3. I'm very confident that he'll do that and he'll do it cleanly. Luke, your
podium
thoughts?
recovery, that would be huge.
I am absolutely certain he can bounce back from this. No bias. Hashtag.
No bias.
No bias.
One that I am bummed before just there in that first race there was Stickers, like 4/5 of the way through that race there, and got put off track there on the third last corner, put out to the sand. I reckon there's going to be an invoice coming. There'll be discussion about that one early next week there in the steward's room, because Sticker was on sign, like I think he was sitting P5, P8, somewhere around that very tight battle there.
Yeah, put him to the fringes of the top 10 in the end after that one. He'll take a bit of solace in the fact that the man who put him off the track did end up below him in the final standings, but I'm sure that'll be looked at methodically by the stewards. I'd have to know as well, because of course Stickers is one of the stewards if he's allowed an input into that particular debate. But we'll let them take care of that, and all that'll all be taken off later on. Carbonboy, how are we looking for race 2? Do you need me to give you a little bit of extra time to set up?
If you could buy me about another minute and a bit just to get the grid set now that I've got all the drivers ticked in, that would be fantastic.
Not a problem. We'll go to a quick break and we'll be back with more action from Road Atlanta very shortly. Welcome back, Sector 1 Sim Racing fans from Australia, New Zealand, and around the world. We are back and ready to go for your final race of the evening, our last sprint race for the Group 4s at Road Atlanta Michelin Raceway here in Georgia, Australia, United States. I've got my countries mixed up. It's getting too late over here in our New Zealand-based commentary box, or I'm based in New Zealand. We'll move along. We're ready to go into the final race of the evening. I hope you guys have got your popcorn ready. It's been action-packed from start to finish this evening, and we're expecting more of the same. Keep your eye out for Lenosis of Obsession Motorsport, of course, starting from P9 here in this second race. Your championship leader on points, and will probably be looking to make a recovery drive here to the podium. We'll see if he can do it. Go to our race grid now. Here we go. The drivers are all set up. Race Fan will lead from the start, and I think keep an eye out for Evil Evo 9 in the Alpha. There's a false start at the back there, and they're off and running. The Alpha is away. Let's see if it can take on the McLaren into turn 1. It might get the Ferrari here. It's looking to the inside. Here's Evil Evo on the way down to turn 1. Let's see what he can do. Up the inside of the Ferrari. Can he make something happen? Not quite. He's going to get double teamed by the teammate as well. And cruising behind in the second of the black light cars. Can he hold on to third place? He can. So Evil Evo slots into P3 here, just behind Lunacy.
Dadson has had an absolute monster of a start, finding
That was a
himself up
ripping
into
start there from
P5
Dadson. Oh.
by turn 1.
How have he done that? That's unbelievable.
He did it all on the start line. It was just phenomenal start.
Let's have a look, see if we can catch that quickly before it all. We've missed just about the right part of the job there, but we'll jump back up the front, and here is... Oh, there's a bit of contact there from Karen on Dadson as well, on the way into the second part of the double right-hander there, and it looked like a bit of contact up the front for these guys as well. Cruising, looking to attack the Alfa Romeo of Evil Evo 9 here, challenging on the way to the chicane. That Alpha does not quite have the legs in a straight line. Cruising, pulls to the inside. The slipstream still benefiting the Alpha. Goes into the chicane. They do not change position at all. Back a bit further, the mid-pack is getting super feisty. Lenosis, the Obsession Motorsport driver, has a half-second penalty. He's still in P9 as starting position, but he's coming under threat now from DP Mario. Now, the question with DP Mario is he really a threat, considering the strategy we saw him use in race 1? Let's see if he continues on with the same sort of strategy here and goes for a pit stop at halfway. There's a move on Old Wakey for Lenosis to the inside for the right-hander. He'll take it and claim P8, but that half second is going to come back and hurt him later on.
That penalty that Lenosis got there earlier on, very, very harsh there. Very harsh.
He picked that up in the final chicane there. Just had the door slammed shut on him on that left-handed part on the entry of the chicane, so he's just ducked to the inside and took a little bit too much triple strip.
And getting pretty feisty here for P4 as well.
What's the gap up front there?
Looking at about a second between Race Fan and Lunacy, and then back to Evil Evo 9, it's another second as well, and then this battle pack of 4 cars is all over the back of the Alpha, who is defending for his life on the way down to the chicane here. What can he do? Dadson down to the inside of Cruisin'. The Alpha makes it through just about. Needs to get out nice and quick. That Ferrari's going to challenge on the way through to turn 1. The 86 of Karen Unleashed has managed to stay in this fight as well. So I think now what Evil Evo 9 needs to do is just sit in the slipstream of that Ferrari in front of him, Cruisin's car, and just try to hold on for as long as possible. Dadson up the inside of Karen. He loses out to the Red Mist car as well.
Pretty tense here behind Black Friday there in P6 there at the moment. I feel that there'll be a pass on before this lap is particularly done.
These guys are very, very close, nose to tail all the way through there. A little bit of contact between them there. Black Friday a little bit wide on exit, and Karen's going to take advantage. And I think Black Friday will probably cop a penalty for that as well. They're going to be 3 wide on the way down to the right-hander. Black Friday on the inside. Can you all fit through there at once, boys? I don't think so. Breaking Esports cut to the inside. DP Mario, and there's an incident, and the Red Mist car is off the track. Rejoins, but he's out of the fight.
I feel like there might be some incident reporting going on with that one, as guess who's right on the rear bumper of Karen, who unfortunately gave Black Friday a bit of a nudge back there. We have Lenosis right on the rear end of Karen. And we all know these two love a good battle.
There we go. They are now nose to tail. What can Lenosis do on the way through? Turn 1 coming up. See if he's got the pace to launch something into the right-hander. That Alpha is still defending for its life against Cruz, and he's managed to get by again. Lenosis holding station.
DP Mario's
Oh!
not far behind.
Lenosis has knocked Karen off the track there. There was massive contact at the apex of the corner, and Karen's car got sent to the Shadow Realm, as many GT fans would label it. Now, it's hard to pick what happened there.
I was just about to say, DP Mario is hanging back behind those two, waiting to pick up any scraps of an incident as Old Wakey goes down the inside of him to relieve him of his position.
We're going to have a look on board here at what happened at Black Friday. Sorry to cut across you there. We've got a replay on the screen now. So here's the incident as it happened, and it was Karen that went straight into the back of the Red Mist car and knocked it off the track. Looks like just a simple case of missing his brake marker there. So let's now have a look at where we're at on track now. They're still going for sheep stations back here. DP Mario down the inside of Old Wakey into the chicane.
Solid move.
Great move into the chicane there. Last of the late breakers. Made the apex beautifully and not compromised on exit either. Now Old Wakey under pressure from Tim Durags as well. Jensen still holding P5. Not far behind Cruisin' and Evil Evo. Black and gold Bacchus car. Beers by Bacchus Brewing Co. Adorning the bonnet here as they head through the S's. Keeping an eye on Cruisin' in front in the Ferrari, the blacklight car, who was in pursuit of the Alfa Romeo. And as the race goes on, of course, we know that Alfa, with its tyre wear, just gets stronger and stronger. So these guys cannot
Stickers
afford...
up to P9.
Stickers just put a lovely move on on CGK there.
It would be
Through
Tim
turn, no, CGK. Oh, no, my bad. Tim,
Aha.
yes.
So they
brain.
had that coming together in the last race. So that's a thank you very much. I'll have that position back from Stickers there, I think. So he'll be happy with that one.
I don't think Tim put up too much of a battle there.
Fair enough. Alright, so now Stickers right on the back of Old Wakey as well. DP Mario looking like a bit of a cork in the bottle now. After being very quick in the early stages of the race, now that his tyre wear's starting to come in, he's starting to slow down a little bit.
How are we looking up the front there, Adam? What's sort of the gap in the top between the top three there? We've got Race Fan up front, Lunacy and Cruisin' in P3.
Well, Lunacy and Race Fan are kind of running their own race at the moment. The real battle was Evil Evo and Cruisin'. These guys are inseparable so far this race. That Alpha... It was ahead just before. It looks like Cruisin's got the better of him at some point, but that Alpha's hanging tough. And as we know, as this race goes on, that Alpha's tyre wear is going to seriously help it. Datson's hanging tough, so he's not out of this fight yet.
Lunacy has picked up a half-second penalty, which he will be serving on this main straight, and he will be cursing because he is within slipstream of Race Fan, and that's going to drop him right out of it.
Probably wouldn't have had an opportunity to overtake this time around, but he would have been close enough to start applying some real pressure to the CP Motorsports driver, which is absolutely what he needs to do. So he's going to have his work cut out for him if he wants to challenge for the lead at this race.
That splits out to 1.6 seconds at the moment. I'll just keep an eye on that.
Board now with Evil Evo 9. He's got Mercedes AMG in the rear view. He's got a Ferrari 458 in front of him. About the same gap either side. Got to be careful about how he handles the next couple of laps. He needs to apply pressure, but he cannot afford to be wearing through his tyres too fast. He's got the imminent threat, of course, of the championship leader in the form of Lenosis for Obsession in P6, who is on the comeback trail and is certainly not one that you can discount at any point in this race.
Or he's going to pick up an invoice for that corner exit, though. There you go. Half a second. Ay, ay, ay. Naughty boy. Naughty boy.
Would have been his opportunity to get past Dadson here as well. In fact, I think it still might be. No, he's going to serve it this lap. So, beauty of it is, he's going to serve it, but he'll still maintain the slipstream of Dadson here, so that should be beneficial to him. Look at that. It would have been a move. He was so close to him there.
That's all right. Next lap. Next lap.
That podium could be on, but he's got to keep it together here. But Evil Evo is still hounding the back of Cruisin', trying to make something work, trying to apply the pressure. Two out the front, about a second separating them, so Lunacy is on pace once again and is starting to reel in CP Motorsports driver.
I'm not sure how long he'll be able to keep that up for, because I think it's about time for a tyre and tyre update.
I think you're right.
And I might take the honours this time around.
No problem. Let's get it going.
Race fan out in P1 is doing really well on his tyres. Very, very even front and rear, just about 50% worn. Whereas Lunacy in P2, that front left tyre is looking about 70% worn with about 50% on the rear. So he might be struggling for tyres in about 2 more laps. Cruisin' in P3 is doing marginally better with his front left tyre. He's only about 65-70% worn, about 50% worn on that left rear. Evil Evo is making ground on Cruisin'. He's just within slipstream range at the moment. He's got about 10 to 15% wear on that front left.
He's got all the tyre.
He has all of the tyre. And about 30% wear on that left rear. Lenosis has got about 55-60% wear on that front left.
He's got by Dadson as well, crucially.
Unfortunately, that left-hand rear is looking about 80% worn, so not so great there. Dadson has a bit of a tyre advantage over him. He's got about 70% wear on that front left and about 45% on that rear. Old Wakey's doing really well for tyre wear in the Supra. As he nearly runs wide at T1. He's got about 60% wear on that front left, about 75-ish % wear on that rear. Stickers is doing marginally better on the front. He's got about 55% wear, same on the rear. DP Mario, hot on the rear bumper of Stickers, has about 65% wear on that front left, and being the Sylvia, that rear tyre is looking very healthy at about 20% wear. Tim Durags in the Porsche, he's about 40% worn on the front left. He's only half a second behind DP Mario, so he's still in this fight. He's got about 65-70% wear on that rear tyre. CGK is an absolute carbon copy, which is as you would expect, considering they're in the exact same car. Black Friday back in P12 after that earlier incident, which I feel may be looked at by the stewards. He's got about 65-70% wear on that front left tyre, about 80% wear on the rear. Karen on the recovery drive, on the back behind PLE, has about 80% wear on their front left, about 60% on the rear. And bringing up the field in a very courageous drive tonight is Patstar in the Alpha with about 20% wear on that front left and about 50% wear on the rear.
I think it's worth mentioning, we had word from his teammates at Doghouse down in the pit lane that he is driving the car with an automatic transmission and one-handed to avoid the pain and with the shoulder issues. So a valiant effort from Patstar, and it'll be points on the board this evening for Doghouse. So doing his part for the team. Great to see. So that will conclude our APR Automotive tyre and fuel update, or tyre and tyre update. Get back to the action. Not far to go now on lap 10, with Racefan leading the way, 2.7 seconds clear of Lunacy. So once again, Lunacy having some real trouble trying to keep up with the CP driver in front. There's a move on for Cruisin' and Evil Evo here. Looking around the outside now as the Alpha can't quite make it work.
Won't happen there, but give it 2 more corners.
That Ferrari's got to be struggling on its tyres now, I think. That Alpha should have the pace over Cruisen's car, I think, for the remainder of this race. Here we go. Look at that closing speed of the Alpha behind. Keep that pressure right on. Lunacy not far up the road. Here goes the Alpha down the inside. And the S's, you never see a move there. I haven't seen a single overtake there since this track was introduced into the game, and Evil Evo 9 has just demonstrated.
That's just the power of the tyre. That was just phenomenal.
Unbelievable. And so brave. You know, he saw the gap open up and just committed to it.
I think Cruisen knows the state of his front tyre, which is practically non-existent at this stage, and that is the biggest nope I have ever seen. He got right out of that, which is probably a clever move.
Great move.
Because there was a lot of danger there if they went side by side through that section, that one or both of them was going to end up off track, and Cruisen, being the strategist that he is, just decided, you know what, Evil Evo might just get past me regardless. I'll settle for a P4 and live to fight another day.
Yeah, he's going to have to work to hold that P4 because Lenosis is still there.
Lenosis in the last half a lap, he has dropped back 1 second. He was 4 seconds. He's now out to 5.
Having some serious trouble with his tyres. Look at that, all the way to the outside of turn 1, squirrely all the way through. Having a real hard time there. Those left-hand side tyres absolutely cooked on that Obsession Motorsport car.
Yep, Dadson behind him has no front tyre left at all. And Old Wakey right behind Dadson has no rear tyre and the barest amount on his front tyre. So still got 3.5 minutes to go, boys. Get used to the slippery conditions.
Evil Evo has jumped Lunacy here. They're side by side on the way down to the chicane. This battle is raging on like nobody's business. I think that Alpha's going to get swamped here a little bit by the Ferraris around him. Let's see what he can do. He's boxed in here. He's gone for the move, but there's a Ferrari in his way. And he's going to get turned sideways. There's a bit of contact on the way in through, and Evil Evo 9 loses out there in the end. Trying to drive through the Ferrari to his left. There was no space for him on that part of the track, and that has let Lunacy get away.
I would just like to note that Cruisen appears to have redressed that situation.
Yeah, I see that, and I think there were so many question marks about that. You could never know who was at fault for that particular incident, but we carry on and let the stewards do their magical work over the coming week. But now, Evil Evo 9, P3, and challenging Lunacy. Got about a lap and a half to make it happen. And I think it's a matter of when and not if. But Lunacy might be able to hold on if he can play his cards right. The 2 Italian manufacturers, the mid-engine, rear-wheel drive cars. The only ones on the grid.
Another cracking little battle right here is P6 and 7 between Dadson and Stickers. These guys have been going at it for the last 2 laps.
Yeah, Stickers with his karting background from many years ago, with slippery tyres he's got at the moment. I think he'll make the move there on Dadson.
Down the inside for Evil Evo into the chicane. He goes super late on the brakes. We've seen him make this move once before this evening, and it was timed to perfection. The exit is perfect, and he drives to the line ahead of Lunacy with no chance of a response from the Ferrari driver. Doghouse into P2 now.
Stickers has made his way past Dadson through that final chicane.
DP Mario threatening as well in the background.
Yeah, DP Mario has made his way past the Prospector as well. Dadson having a bit of a horror run over the last half a lap. It's not gone well for him, but still a little bit to go. Plenty more can happen.
I think P8 is hardly a disappointing result, and DP Mario is still there. Dadson was compromised by his overtake from Stickers, so that opened the door for DP Mario, but I think there's an opportunity here for Dadson to make his move back. He's right on the back here. Look at this, into the right-hander. Does he go for it? No, he sits behind. He'll wait till the next corner. Go. Who's got the better exit? Both pretty even on the way out there.
Mario got a pretty good exit out of that corner. He's managed to eke out a few more hundredths of a gap, even with the slipstream.
We're going to come to the line now. I think this is going to be it for these guys. They will not get another lap. Race Fan will come to the line and take victory here. 2 races in a row. CP Motorsports on top. Evil Evo 9 takes P2, thoroughly deserved with a great drive. Cruising in P3. And Lunacy drops to P4. Lenosis P5 with a great recovery. Stickers will take P6. DP Mario P7 with a slide across the line. Dadson P8. Karen in P9. Old Wakey P10. And Tim Durags here for ISA Esports will take P11. In the end, not a great result for the ISA outfit, but they managed to score much valued team points. RMR crosses the line. Black Friday in the blue liveried red mist car. Crazy Good Kung Fu will come across the line in P13 ahead of Patstar, who managed to hold that 30-second gap off the back there with his injury and his automatic transmission back here.
Whoa.
Valiant effort for the doghouse driver. Love to see it. The commitment to the team.
Yeah, fantastic effort. Hey, if I'd suffered that level of injury, I'd just rule out driving completely. Sorry, boss. I am weak.
Super committed, but he'll be kicking himself because that injury's come at one of the worst times, of course, because he sees now his teammate, who's up in P2 there in the Alfa Romeo, and he's missed the opportunity to match that sort of performance with this injury. But,
Well,
what can you do?
let's see who's finished where.
So, to the results screen, we will go, and here is your victor in the second sprint race of the evening. Race Fan for CP Motorsports in the 650S with a dominant display once again after dominating the first race also and winning in emphatic fashion over Lunacy, who dropped to P4 in the end in the second race. Evil Evo 9 in P2, and he was a driver that everyone was rooting for really after a poor performance so far this season from the Alphas in general, not really being able to take the fight to the Supras and the McLarens of the Sector 1 world. But here at Road Atlanta, it's really coming to its own. So great to see those cars performing right at the top. The 2.458s of Blacklight Motorsport in 3rd and 4th, a great result for their team. Lenosis in P5 after starting P9, a great recovery there. Stickers in P6, Mario P7 after getting on to the standard strategy in the second race here. And Lenosis as well with that fastest lap. I think that supersedes DP Mario's lap from race 1. So a really good performance there from Lenosis to beat that time without putting on the fresh tyres that Mario did in that first race. Dadson in P8 after that fantastic start we saw from him, dropping down a little bit, but managing to finish within the top 8. Karen Unleashed P9, Old Waking P10, Tim Durags in P11, Black Friday P12, Crazy Good Kung Fu P13, and once again Pat Star in that Alfa Romeo in P14. Your thoughts, Carbonboy?
Wow, that was certainly a little bit spicier than I had initially anticipated. I figured it was going to be some fairly heated battles in that race, but that completely surpassed my expectations.
Great start to finish as well. That was action-packed, and Lenosis really did us a favour by putting himself off track in the first race and making it real interesting for the remainder. I would have hated to see him drive away with another easy win once again, as he's done so many times this season. What were your thoughts, Pruski?
Mine, well, wasn't too bad of a race. I mean, yes, there's going to be some steward chat here and there. For the most part, it was pretty clean. There was no pure aggression. They were just genuine incidents that need to be discussed next week. Yeah, look, I mean, I think I haven't even decided on a driver of the day yet. I'm sure there's some comments there in the chat as to who is where. But I mean,
just
credit where
reading over
credit's
those
due.
now.
Credit where credit's due, like race fan, just right from the get-go, like wow. I called it very on early in our race there that Cruising would be right up there, and to see him P3 there in race 2, yeah, well done.
He took on his teammate as well, beat him by only a tenth, so it must have been right at the death that those positions changed, which was a surprise for Lunacy because obviously pole position in the qualifying session and showing a great turn of pace in both of those races. His lap times were astounding up and down, and he seemed to have the pace over race fan, but couldn't quite execute it lap after lap and ended up dropping down to P4, and perhaps the tyre wear coming back to bite him as well. But a lot of good performers up and down. Sticker's a great recovery as well after being put off track in the first race. It could be another nomination as well. But it's easy to look at
I did notice at the end of the race there, Cruisin had his right-hand indicator on for Lunacy to go past him, but it seems like Lunacy had other ideas and just gave his teammate a friendly bump draft across the line, as in, nah, mate, you take it. So that's some good camaraderie between the two teammates from Blacklight Motorsports there.
Good camaraderie, but interesting decision making, because if you remember, Lunacy is in the title fight with Lenosis, and those points could have made a lot of a difference. So interesting decision making there. But you know, it's all about the spirit of the game. But
now reading through the YouTube chat at the moment, we've got PD Pops firing in his driver of the day for Evil Evo, Strangers also Evil Evo, Debrev Evil Evo, Blind Man Evil Evo, Bumcrack Evil Evo. We've got a driver of the day nomination for Cruisin' from Morgan Davies. Also noting that Race Fan did the Jamie Wynn Cup and left them all for dead. I don't normally go with the grain. I like to throw one out, throw a little bit of a curveball into the situation, but in this circumstance, it's hard to pass up Evil Evo for driver of the day. Like, that was just a absolutely stunning performance in that little
class,
Alpha.
right?
So
you know, he drove into the Alpha's strengths and all that sort of thing. So it was. We all knew that he would that the tyres would come back to him late in the race, but put the car where he did in the early stages took some real effort.
He has my nomination for driver of the day.
And you, Pruski?
Cruising for me.
Cruising?
Yep, 100%.
I'm going to go Stickers. A little bit different. I think he had a great recovery drive in the end. And 6 is a good result here. We all know that Stickers has had not the strongest season in his history here in Sector 1. But good to see him up the sharp end of the field once again, especially after being put off the track in the early stages. Shows the resilience of the Lightning Motorsport team. But I think that will be us for the evening. So we will be loving you and leaving you, of course, Sector 1 sim racing fans from Australia, New Zealand, and around the world. Make sure you tune in next week. We are heading to Fuji Speedway, GT3 cars, and that should be an exciting round. I will be back in the box next week to run you guys through Category 1 because our 2 other streamers on the roster are currently incapacitated for next week. That's probably the wrong word to use, but they won't be present, so I will be back for that. Will you be joining me, Carbonboy?
I will be joining you for the Division 1 race. I'm not sure if you would like to have I'm not sure if you'd like to have me as driver comms in Division 3. Depending on how things go, I may not be able to say nice things.
And many thanks for your efforts tonight, Adam Pruski. Thank you very much, mate.
Nah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right, we will see you all once again. Don't forget to like if you have enjoyed this live stream here at Sector 1 Sim Racing. We will be back next week, so subscribe if you want to see us go live once again. And we look forward to having you guys back in our stream chat next week. For now, that is goodbye.